Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Everything I say is a lie. I'm lying. That's not true.
And that is from our enigmatic Jenny Morgan.
And the Los Angeles Kings just scored. Back to you, Purple.
Yep. And we have Will and Doc Fearsome. And we have Mr. B with us tonight.
Hi, perps. I'm making coffee. I'll be right back.
Wow, it's 10 o'clock at night and it's 50 degrees. That's almost summer.
Alexa, what's the temperature right now? It's 58. I got a jacket on, Jenny.
Well, apparently it got up to way high today, like 70s or something like that.
We're having weird
weather. Hit 80.
Well, according to Weather Underground, we should hit 72 on Saturday.
Ooh.
Wowzers.
Which is kind of weird because we don't get above 50 on either Friday or Sunday.
Do you know, as someone who's a desert dweller, like the humans do acclimate. I lived up north. Like, I got used to the weather. It took me a while to get used to sunshine, but I'm biased, so I prefer sunshine.
Well, yeah, you do acclimate to it, and here we see that every year. Because, like, you know, in July, it drops down to 60, and everybody's shivering.
Mm-hmm.
In January, it gets above 40, and people are walking outside in short sleeves.
Yeah.
And I see that every year.
Well, I go right for naked.
Hey,
you know, so your body acclimates over just a couple of months. It just keeps switching back and forth. Okay, we've got Mage in the side chat.
If I can't walk around naked, then it's not summer yet. Okay, phone works.
Yes, and on our Earth Day theme, Mage Wolf is giving us encouragement.
Trusty Ape, I agree about saving the whales, and it was also one of the greatest Star Trek movies that was ever made.
Yep.
Spock mind melds with an effing whale.
Best of the Star Trek movies.
I'm biased because it's like a time capsule.
As far as science and the climate change, yeah, at this point, all science can do is slap you silly and say, "Why the fuck didn't you listen 50 years ago?"
I watched this really scary thing on YouTube where in 1991 or 2, or maybe even earlier, Carl Sagan predicted all of this was going to happen, and all he did was look at the science. And he gave like a 45-minute lecture on climate change, and no one gave a shit.
Oh yeah, Carl Sagan was doing lectures on it in the 80s.
And here it is, you know, we're past the point of no return. That's what I don't think people understand.
Yep.
Like now we're just gonna have to react to it. And you know, Earth Day is kind of arrogant. Does the Earth have People Day? Does it have like Beetle Day? No.
Yeah, but the Earth is bigger than the people. It gets to do it at once.
Exactly.
Okay, I am all for starting a Beetle Day. You know, I think John, Paul, George, and Ringo just did so much to, you know, society. They were such a cultural touchstone.
It's the greatest cars I ever owned, too.
Hold my hand.
At any moment, the Earth could evict us and keep going. We can't do that. We can't do it the other way around, you know?
Okay, Trusty Ape, everybody knows you can't shoot the seals. You're supposed to club them. We've been doing it that way. It's tradition.
You know, I bet someone said that like legitimately one time.
When the seal stuff first came out, there were people who made jokes about that all the time. It was really quite revolting.
People say that about cows here, and to the point now where I think they're serious.
I'm so sick and tired of this stupid stuff.
Hey, Duke, here's somebody we haven't heard from in a long time.
What's crack-a-lackin', dude?
How's it going?
What's up, Duke?
Oh. Well, you know, man, I'm just chilling, straight chilling. I signed up for Shudder today, so I've been watching B horror movies all day. It's been a fantastic thing.
I'm looking forward to TV tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be internet or actual TV when they take Marjorie Taylor Greene and put her up answering questions at a grand jury and stuff. It's gonna be
I
fun.
don't know if I can watch that. She's a real life train wreck.
Want to bet that she just takes the fifth and doesn't say a thing?
No, because I only take bets that I think I could win. Do you know what?
I bet she has a loud fart on stand. I bet she gets nervous and just loses her bowel control.
Ooh, that'll be on early too. By the time I'm up, she'll have already told like 30 lies.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who's a climate scientist? What? Who?
If you want to come in for a while and talk about Earth Day and the climate, that would be good.
That would be awesome.
Well, gee, who invented Earth Day?
People from Mars, ironically.
Conservationists?
Huh?
I don't know.
People from Mars, ironically.
It's probably someone who makes money off of it right now.
No, he's dead. Gaylord Nelson, former senator of Wisconsin, is who came up with Earth Day.
Awesome.
He modeled it after the it was during the Vietnam War was on, and one of the things they were doing to try to calm down the world and our citizens from revolting any further and all that kind of stuff was to go around having sit downs and talk. Let's sit down and talk, about each side expressing itself. One of those early hippie things. And he said, well, why don't we apply that to taking care of the earth and the environment? Because he was always an environmentalist, but nobody listened. And they said, okay, let's try that. And it exploded and people went crazy and wanted to do it. And so they said, well, let's just make it an everyday or an every year thing that we'll have this celebration of awareness. And it took, and it's with us today because of it.
I think a lot of it, though, comes down to stopping corporations from pumping massive amounts of pollutants in the air. Because, we constantly tell people to recycle, reuse, reduce, that was invented to make you feel guilty. Because 50 of us couldn't compare to like the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
How much waste do they pump how much do they do just to the ocean every year?
Oh my God.
Well,
And
exactly.
that's just that.
So much, man. So much.
It all has been done to make the consumers think that they're responsible for it rather than the big industries.
Look at the plastic.
Why don't we get Pale Blue Mama in here?
Well, I sent her a link
to come in.
In the state of California, if you I think it's from the Channel Islands on, we have oil derricks every 10 miles. You could see them. I learned to surf at effing oil piers. At Carpinteria, there's tar on the beach from an oil spill in the early 1900s. Like, there's massive damage you can see just up and down the coast of California.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Amanda, come on in here. Perp sent you a link.
Yeah, one thing that's always bothered me is, with the whole reduce, reuse, recycle thing. Why is nowhere in there do they mention repair? Why can't we once in a while fix things instead of throwing them out and buying a new one?
That makes way too much sense, Purple.
That would be kind of covered under reuse.
This is the United States. We can't do that. Yeah, it is. It is actually covered under reuse.
Well, no, reuse is more like repurposing it for something else.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be
reuse.
It doesn't have to be just that. You can make it however you want it to be.
Yeah, recycling can also be reusing something and repairing it. You're still recycling it. I used to go and find like old furniture that was laying around the road, alongside the road in the rich neighborhoods on trash day, and take the good boards off of them and go make something out of it.
Yep.
Because
I
they
used to do
have
that
like
all the
real
time.
wood furniture in the big communities,
The scrappers do that here.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah.
big business here.
When I was
Yeah,
in New
it's
York,
great.
my
Smart.
primary source of lumber was broken IKEA bed frames.
Yeah.
Because most of it was crap. Most of it was the press board, but the actual slats would be, solid wood.
Right. Exactly.
So you wound up with a lot of 3-foot long pieces of solid wood.
Yeah.
And we have
Absolutely.
a porpoise.
Hey, Porpoise.
It's always good to have a porpoise in your life.
How's it going?
Well, I have a calculus test tomorrow, which I'm sure I kind of hope I do better than I have in the calculus tests. But this time I prepared for the last 2 tests. It didn't result in a much higher grade last time, but hopefully, if it's easy as a study guide was, it shouldn't be a problem. In any case, I walked into this at exactly the wrong time because what hit my ears was something about 3 feet of solid wood.
It's always that awkward moment. It's always that awkward
Yes, I was
moment.
talking about recycling IKEA bed frames for lumber.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to assume it was carpentry, not...
Yeah, no. Because
Yeah.
I said that I would go along the side of the road in the rich neighborhoods on trash day, and they would have furniture that was broken, and I would take all the good boards and throw them in the back of my truck and take them home and make something out of them. And then Purple confessed about the wood slat scavenging.
Well,
That's how that happened.
at trash day in the rich neighborhoods, you can also pick up all the children who have been disowned because they were just not suitable. And
Yeah. They're out there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're down at the orphanage normally, but sometimes you find them on the streets.
Unfortunately, when in New York, I found a lot of cats discarded that way. That's why we had a colony in the park of about 50 abandoned cats.
See, when you have that many, they need to become part of the American diet. That's just a waste to leave them out there.
Well, I redomesticated 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Started out with feeding them on the porch, and it took a while to get them comfortable enough with people touching them and coming in the house, but
Right.
over the course of about 3 years, and one of them became, well, actually 2 of them became absolute lap cats by the time I was done. One of
That's
them
great.
was still... Simon Simone was still kind of keeping people at a distance. He didn't really let anybody get in arm's reach. But at least he did get to the point of getting up and sleeping on top of my computer hutch.
And I really don't... Oh, my mic is on.
It
Sorry
really
about that.
is. It really is.
Okay, and I see Skits Crasher and Philip Watch joining us.
Hey, Amanda, get in here.
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda, I sent you a DM on Twitter, so you should be able to come in here.
So, to my trans sisters here, does anyone else, when they're on Twitter, see J.K. Rowling and they wonder, and their first thought is, "Oh my God, what has she done now?"
No,
I
because
don't
it's
read
always
the
the
news.
same
I don't
shit.
read the news feed. It's not worth it to me.
Yeah,
It's just
I try to
stress.
avoid the drama stuff, so...
I don't even read that shit.
If she's trending, if she's just saying the same old bad, negative, terrible stuff.
Oh, it wasn't even something she did this time.
But
But it's just
honestly,
like-
I don't even want to buy the Harry Potter Lego sets because I don't want anything that might give her a dime.
But it's just,
Agreed.
but it's just seen, and it's like, oh come on, not again.
Well, what happened today?
Apparently, some trans woman wrote a book where J.K. Rowling gets violently murdered.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely.
And
man.
what's the name of that book so we can all buy it and give them money?
Good bedtime stories for trans children.
I didn't see the name of the book. I've been busy with other things. It's just, you're kind of on Twitter.
Oh, you muted yourself somehow.
You muted, yeah.
Well, did you hear things are getting even worse in Florida for trans people?
I think eventually the government's going to have to step in because Florida knows what they're doing is unconstitutional.
Today, one of their
Absolutely.
positions was interpreted as that trans children are not allowed to transition even socially, which means, like, say, a little boy choosing to wear a dress at home, under penalty of law.
That's
and that hair length must not be allowed to grow a certain, past, to a feminine length, for example.
What the hell?
That
There
is-
have been
Republicans know
guys
it's
with
all-
long hair since the beginning of time. They didn't used to cut it.
since before there were scissors.
The
Thank
Republicans
you.
know it's all unconstitutional. They don't
dude.
care because it gets their base excited, so their people will get out and vote for them. And they don't care that the stuff will all get thrown out in court because that's not their problem.
Well, DeSantis is taking on Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now,
with his
now that may
insanity.
be a mistake.
Yeah,
Is it-
because he won by 32,000 votes, and there's 80,000 people working for Walt Disney.
Right.
Imagine if Disney took all of their fleet, all of their amusement parks, all of their money out of Florida.
Yeah,
Florida
Florida
would
would
be bankrupt
starve.
overnight.
Actually,
would. It
here's
would.
what I think Disney would do instead: declare itself an independent country.
No, seriously, how large is their fleet? I heard that they have like the largest fleet in the Navy or just in the world or some BS,
Well, it's probably a cruise. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a.
Well, a ship is a ship,
I mean,
Yeah,
they
they're
are
cruise
ships,
line
but they're not.
ships, but they do have a huge fleet of them. You're absolutely right.
They
They're
have
not
like one of the
military.
largest we'll call it non-military fleets in the world.
There you go.
So because of that, they could bankrupt. Florida's stupid. This is what people do. They talk trash before they quit a job before they get a new one. They get real tough, not knowing the outcome.
The wonderful irony of what DeSantis just proposed and did, and it's already passed. It's all happened like within 48 hours or something like that. These people are just rabid. Is they passed a law that is going to be canceling Walt Disney's special privileges to be more autonomous. Okay, which means that it's no longer going to be able to provide its own fire department, its own police department.
Yep.
And a number of other city kind of things that a whole city would do. And now all those things are going to fall on the backs of the various counties that their facilities are located in, and then taxpayers are going to have to pay all that money.
Yeah, he didn't really think that thing out because that could bankrupt the city of Orlando at this point.
They're trying to, and in the same breath, they redistrict 2 black districts in the same bill.
Yeah,
just to get votes.
They keep doing
Jesus.
that, and even Trump-appointed judges keep throwing it out.
Florida's a mess. Florida's a mess right now.
It's been a
the
mess for a long
gerrymandering is
time.
so
man.
bad.
I used
The
to
whole
live
the whole
there.
country is a mess. The Republicans have gone so far that they have seriously damaged the nation. Their juggernaut is on a free fall to just keep destroying and making things worse and worse and worse, particularly for trans people. But it's going to start to spill over to LGBT people, and it's bad. Most Americans, 68%, or maybe it was a little more, of Republicans say that LGBT people should be protected. Okay, of citizen Republicans say that. And when you combine the whole population, Dems and Reps, it's like up into the 80th kind of percentile. Say LGBT should be protected. And these people are just running roughshod, all on ideology to just destroy people, to make their little assholes twinge a little bit.
Because they want to make it a theocracy. But what they still haven't worked out, though, is that if they made the U.S. a Christian theocracy, which Christian church would it be? You know, because the Methodists and the Pentecostals don't agree on a fuck of a lot.
Oh, that's easy. It would be the Catholic Church because Hispanic people outnumber everyone else, and if they don't, they're more organized.
But it's
So-
the evangelicals that are pushing it.
Can't argue with that.
The Protestant religions combined are much larger than the Catholic Church in America.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will still run Utah.
For the record, I'm anti all of them. They can all GTFO as far as I'm concerned. And
Yeah.
lately, there's been this real ass kissy thing about different religions. I want to state this: like, I'm an equal opportunity employer. I'm not a fan of any religion. If you want to have personal practices, I'm no one to judge you. Don't push them on me. You know,
That's
I'm not a fan
right.
of, you know, I'm not a fan of any religion. And go there. If you're so pro a certain state, go to that state and see what it is to live in a religious ran country. Go to Egypt, go to Israel, go live there for a year and tell me how you like it.
I mean, you know, Doc could be proud of his penis, but he shouldn't go around shoving it in people's faces on the sidewalk, you know?
I'm not supposed to
Same
do that.
thing.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, Doc.
Not during the day. No.
After midnight. Oh,
Don't
man,
be
that's funny.
kink shaming my trench coat habit, all right? What I do and me and my trench coat, my boots, I got really high boots. You know, my dad took a picture like that and he put it on Facebook. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he was like, "Guys, I was wearing pants underneath. They were rolled up, and it was just a picture." Like, fake outrage is hilarious. I live for it. I live for it.
That's funny shit. Well, people always assume the worst out of everything they see automatically. They go right to the worst case scenario.
Well, we're fear-filled people. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
indeed.
some people can work with it, other people can step beyond, and other people it's driving.
Yeah. Well, of course we are. That's what the government wants. That's what all the powers that be want. They want us all to be afraid to, you know, afraid to lose our job and afraid to this and afraid of that, and they love that shit. That's
No,
just-
it's not the government. It's the people that we voted for and sent to Congress and the Senate. They are the ones that are doing this to us, not the United
you go.
States of America. The United States of America can only do what the politicians have decided. It's the fucking
Agreed.
politicians.
Agreed.
It's goddamn Republicans. That's who's doing this.
You know, and I always talk about how
Yep.
great California is. The politicians have ruined California. They've sold everything they can to corporations here, you know. But it's not that I don't hate my state. It's the idiots who
Right.
sold out for money, you know, and personal gain.
It's a lot of people.
Can I
Yeah,
sell it from... Ow.
Yeah, we
Wow.
made one vice president.
Can I sell out for money? Lots of money, please.
Oh, no.
You know what's so funny? I think about that all the time. Like, my personal hero, the Tiger King, said it the best. Everybody's got a price. And if you don't think you have a price, your price is probably lower and you should raise it.
Joe
Will,
Exotic
Chris-
is your personal hero?
It's a joke, but like, yeah, in a weird way. I own a property and I walk around. I don't fire people though.
Will,
Joe Exotic would freak out. Yeah.
Will, the news just came through. Chris Middleton is out for the rest of the series against the Bulls. He sprained his MCL.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yikes.
that's bad.
Oh, for a minute there, I thought you were going to tell us something
If
devastating.
you're a Bulls
like
fan,
Totally reminded me
Tom-
to check the score.
Tom Hiddleston was no longer going to play Loki.
You know, I'm gonna have a little first world rant real quick. I've had to recently purchase ESPN Plus, and now I am so over inundated with hockey. I know more about hockey than I have ever known in my entire life, because now that I'm paying for it, I feel obligated to watch, like, you know, Seattle and some other team, you know, for no effing reason, because I'm paying for it, you know.
I've been trying to tell people they could have my Disney Plus password since I don't use it and it's not shared with anything else. No one's took me up on it.
They've like in a weird way they've privatized Los Angeles sports where you have to buy the channel. But I bought Spectrum, and they own all the channels. But like,
Oh yeah.
on certain games, I have to watch it on ESPN Plus, and you have to pay for it. You know, I feel sorry for people who can't afford the stupid luxuries I have. You know,
I do think it's kind of weird that because my university isn't one a big one, I've actually turned on Hulu and seen live games, live sporting events for the university I go to.
I would like them to upgrade hockey, make it a little bit more interesting. I want them to get rid of their rubber puck and start using stainless steel with spring loaded hockey sticks.
Jenny, you have not been watching hockey this year. It's like it is like UFC. Hockey is lit. If you're a fighter,
I figure they should do that, because then if they get the puck into the glass, it's going to go right through the damn glass, and the audience gets involved.
I'm a fighter. Like I'm a fighter. Like hockey. You know what? In your local area, I am still in an old man hockey league. Like it feels good to elbow someone in the face legally, skate up on someone, throw them up against the glass, and we're all out of shape. We all smoke, so it's huffy as hell. It's not like anyone's a pro or anything. It's a bunch of like 40-year-olds that are out of shape. No hard, you know you're gonna get hurt. Hockey.
I have a question. Something I never knew about hockey. Why do they call it hockey? Why don't they call it skatey?
Why do we call earth and not water?
Well, they don't call football runny. So
wrong country, and we don't talk like that. That's why
there's more passing in football. They call it throwy.
That'd be throwy. You can't put that on a hat. Sorry, I wouldn't wear that throwy jersey. Sorry.
Well,
sorry.
They're halfway there with kickball. You know, they could just change that to ball kicky.
There's a thing on Twitter that's going around. No, that was TikTok. It's on TikTok. A woman came up with a little typewritten piece of paper that's behind her, and she's showing what if we gave the job of naming things to the guy who named walkie talkie. And so she goes down a bunch of these regular words and some sports and stuff. And, they're all the walkie-talkie, dicky wiki, and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty funny, actually.
Oh, my God. Jenny, you totally reminded me.
A toaster is a bready cookie.
Okay.
So, I also pay money to watch the Dodgers. Well, I pay for Spectrum. And I'm constantly getting emails of scores and stuff. Do you know, because I smoke way too much weed, it took me 4 games to figure out who the Guardians were.
Of the Galaxy? I mean, they're this Marvel team.
They're no longer the Cleveland. Exactly. You see, why am I getting these like emails? Am I in a Doctor Who episode? What the hell's going on? It was.
It consists.
The Cleveland Indians have changed their name to the Cleveland Guardians.
It consists of a talking tree.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They did.
I said the same thing, V, in the exact same tone. I said, who are the Dodgers playing? Like.
Yeah, a talking tree, and privileged white man who's an orphan, a heavy weapons wielding raccoon, and some barely clothed green skinned girl, or is it blue?
And
and Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that is absolute nightmare fuel. Something with the intelligence of a human and the ethics of a raccoon. Nobody is safe.
As someone. I've done a lot of acid and shrooms in my life. I don't think how someone realizes how terrifying that would be in real life.
I just want to see. I want to see a Marvel movie that's nothing but Rocket and the Hulk going at it. Rocket's gonna lose, but just imagine the carnage.
Let me look through my collection. I guarantee that's a comic that was made in the 70s, or the 80s. Like they've made so many. There's so many. I'm almost offended when I catch like an off reference. I'm like, what? You guys put this in? You guys put this in?
Well,
That's you're ripping
I
off my
was actually
childhood.
disappointed with the Guardians of the Galaxy movie because I remember the comic from back in the 80s, and there is
Me
not
too.
a single one of the same characters in it.
Except Yondu, and they completely altered the character.
But I like the characters that they have. I don't care what it was in the comic book. The characters. They
Yeah,
got
I
are
just
nice.
wish they would have called it something else because it's not even remotely the same team.
You know
I
what?
love Groot.
They're making references to it though because Yondu is in it and Starhawk is played by Sylvester Stallone in the second one.
Out of all the comics I didn't sell, I have an entire run of the Teen Titans, and I loved the cheesy one they had on Cartoon Network. Isaiah used to watch it when he was a kid. And I'm anti-remake in a lot of ways.
Of course,
You mean
I had
Teen
the
Titans
same
Go?
problem with the
Yeah, I love
Defenders
that
on
show.
Netflix because that had nothing to do with the comic books either.
A lot of people hated it, but you know what? My thing is like with sci-fi right now. Right now, we're at this weird point where people can actually be heard complaining about shows. Back in the day when people whined and bitched, no one cared because the producers couldn't hear you. And now everybody's whining because sci-fi's too woke. Go back and watch the old sci-fi.
Back in the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, people were begging for sci-fi. You had to like basically kidnap and threaten Hollywood executives to have them produce a sci-fi film.
Well,
and now look at it; it's all over the place.
Cyberpunk.
It's a good time for sci-fi.
Cyberpunk 2077 shouldn't have been political because it's not like the entire cyberpunk genre wasn't a criticism of capitalism or anything.
Yeah.
That's another thing that bothers me is that we have people that are like, don't make Star Trek political. Like, Star Trek's always been political.
It's like,
what are you watching?
Michelle Nichol, when she was on the show, went and talked to Gene Roddenberry in his office and said, I see what you're doing. These are morality plays. And he slammed the door and said, don't let anyone hear you.
Jessie Gender, she really gets into Star Trek. And you can see through each era, they're addressing whatever conflict is going on at the time. So with each series, you can like parallel with whatever's going on at the time. So Star Trek is always, and Doctor Who too. Doctor Who is always like be better than yourself, regardless of how you feel, because the Doctor always had prejudices.
Yeah.
Are the Reds
right.
considered racist? I guess Reds, and I don't know.
Yeah.
The Reds?
Well, yeah, because it's, Redskins.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends on why they're called Reds. I mean,
unless you're calling them, communist or Russian. But
how did the Cincinnati Reds get their name?
Cincinnati.
Which Reds?
Alexa, how did the Cincinnati Reds get their name?
Cincinnati. Okay.
Oh, hey, Math Pig, didn't see you come in.
The Cincinnati Reds name is originally inspired by a previously existing team, the Cincinnati Red Stockings.
Yeah, that's not racist.
They're talking about it's Red Stockings. The original team was the Cincinnati Red Stockings.
Well,
there you go.
That's not racist.
No, that's
true for the Boston Red Sox.
Red Sox
and the White Sox.
And the White Sox.
Thank you for helping me start programs, Athena, but I don't think I have one with that many letters.
and the Cock Sox.
What?
The Chicago
I guarantee you.
Corpus, I maintain to this day that I have never drunk tweeted. That if people see me on there late at night typing weird shit, I'm in bed and it's autocorrect trying to make sense of my cat walking on the keyboard.
That's funny. I just close my laptop every night. I don't have to worry about it.
I put my phone far away from me.
I usually leave my desktop on, but And we usually make sure Google is closed.
Yeah, it's usually a good idea.
Oh, damn it. Now I have Spirit in the Sky stuck in my head.
Oh my god, why'd you just give that to me?
You talking about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yep.
Yep.
I remember some of the Dark Horse comics. They used to put out some good stuff.
Hey, no, I'm sorry, it's Magic Carpet Ride as well, isn't it? Which one is it, Porpoise? Is it Magic Carpet Ride or Spirit in the Sky?
They're both 70s song, and most 70s music sucked.
I've been watching like weird clips lately because the world just sucks, and so I've been like, I love the Contact clip where he's in Star Trek Contact, where he's like, wait, and they're like, what, and he like puts the disc in. It's a Magic Carpet Ride. That like gets me every effing time. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Every time it shit makes me laugh every time.
That's funny.
It's just a good wholesome movie, you know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a shame though that we've gone. Some people are just complaining about everything. Like, I really think the Netflix Cowboy Bebop live action could be good. But people were so upset because it wasn't exactly like the anime. It wasn't supposed to be. I hope sci-fi...
Oh, sorry.
It wasn't great either. It could be better. Some of its visual choices were jarring because they were trying to match the anime style.
Well, honestly, people, this world has so many important issues that if it's a TV show or a movie and you don't like it, just don't watch it. Just let it go.
But I want to watch more of it.
I'll tell you, I live my life like that. Like, I'm a physical, tactile person. If they, words hurt. I'm not a complete sociopath. But if they are not if you're not physically harming me, I'm gonna kind of probably laugh and walk away. Life's too short to be angry all the time.
Wait, maybe you're true. So you're not Pennsylvania Dutch enough to hold grudges for years because your family member says something stupid.
Well, I hold I have Southern hatred where I'll forgive, but I never forget.
I'm actually about half Pennsylvania Dutch.
I'm sure that's not just a Pennsylvania Dutch trait, but Pennsylvania Dutch can be very stubborn.
No, you know what? Like, I'm of that age where I know how to fight. I'm too old to fight, and a lot of issues. I'm too old for half of these issues, anyways. Except for Florida, fall off in the ocean already, or get over yourself.
Actually, I didn't think Ed was that bad of an interpretation.
Don't worry, they'll be underwater here soon, anyways.
As the song says, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
There you go.
Yeah, I live in the mountains. If that happens to California, I'm gonna be looking down at the ocean.
I wish the ocean level would start rising. They've been talking about it for such a long time.
I'm just happy that Putin. Sorry.
I just want to be able to point to the ocean rise to the Republicans and say, see, what you think we're fucking around? Fuck around and find out.
I'm just happy that Putin's about to use nuclear weapons and cause an apocalypse because I'm prepared, as you can see by the poster behind me.
Yeah.
No, I won't even joke about that.
Well, the ocean level has been rising. It's not doing it in a way they're noticing. But water tables have been rising, especially in coastal states. And that's why Florida is having buildings fall in. Because the water tables have been rising and undermining the foundations.
There's a town in the UK that's falling in the ocean as well. It's one of those million stories I watched on the BBC. But
although the sinkhole capital of the world is located about 25 miles west of me.
Is it Mike?
They got literally. They got a farmer could own a 100-acre field and he'll have 10, 15 sinkholes in the damn thing.
But aren't parts of Florida, especially southern Florida, Miami especially, actually getting flooded regularly because sea levels are rising?
Yep.
Well, I always heard that Florida, the highest point in Florida is 6 feet over sea level, and that when global warming comes, just most of Florida is going to just plain fucking disappear.
It's true.
There's actually a
It's already in
map
a
you can look
process.
up.
It's just going to get worse.
Listen, God's just going to take his waiting room up to heaven.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The only problem with that, though, is New York City is also only 5-6 feet above sea level, and
Satan will take his waiting room
Well,
to hell.
I
Right
know
now-
there are some of the Pacific islands like Fiji that really are,
Yeah.
only like 1 or 2 meters above sea level.
the Mauritius Islands.
I have to look it up, but New York has pumps that pump water out of the island because it's seeping into the island, and they've been doing that for a long time. Something I watched.
Really?
I watched
According
it on the
to Google-
Discovery Channel.
I didn't know that.
According to Google, the highest elevation in Florida is a park. Britton Hill is 340 feet.
Oh, okay.
But that's just one hill. That's still, you're probably right about, 80% of the state going underwater.
So Manhattan right now is having massive problems with water in their subway. So they have to pump. Oh, let's see, 13 million in 2018. They pumped out 13 million gallons of water every day.
You look at any subway system, and they're going to be pumping water out. But New York, yeah, I've heard also that they're getting much worse these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't have
Long
that-
Island is
Thank you.
definitely having a problem. They're having flooding all the time.
We don't have that in the
Mhm.
LA subway.
And their ocean floodings from nor'easters and stuff is getting much further inshore than it ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And people keep rebuilding their houses on the shore. It's like people are absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's just like I say about people that live in Tornado Alley, rather. Why? They're like, well, I'm going to rebuild. This is the 4th time I've had a house knocked down in 20 years. Why do you stay there, man? Get
They
the
must have-
fuck out.
The third one burned down, fell over, and then sank into the swamp. But the fourth
Right,
one stayed up.
Those are people with insurance.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
but
guys
most
heard
of the time,
this
most
is a
of the
bit
time,
about
in places like that where it's a high risk, like a high flood risk area, they know it's going to happen. You don't get flood insurance. They won't. They don't sell it.
Actually,
That's how
living
it
in
is.
You're talking like no, I gave you that look because they won't sell half of California earthquake insurance.
actually,
Exactly.
'Cause
See,
they know what's gonna happen.
exactly. It's not
I
a
have-
good bet for the insurance company. They're
Well, why-
guaranteed to lose money.
But let Porky
insurance
get a
is
word in
insurance is a business too. Why should they have to provide a service that they know they're going to lose their ass on?
I have
Exactly.
a story that illustrates how most people misunderstand what it's like to live in an area that is kind of prone to tornadoes. Because when I moved to Indiana, every time a tornado came on the news, no matter where it was, if I called my grandmother, she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Weren't you hit by the tornado?" And I'm like, Mom, that tornado was in Kansas. But isn't that near you? I'm like, "No, Mom, Kansas is 700 miles away from here."
Yeah, I had a terrible problem when I lived in New York because every time
People-
somebody saw something on the news, they were like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, that was New York City. That's a 5-hour drive from here.
It's true though. People just think, oh, it's the same region. You must be dead too, or something.
Or
Well,
else
when I
it's
first
Snowstorm
came
hit Buffalo.
out
That was
came
only
out
a
of the
2-hour
closet,
drive.
people were asking me if I knew Christine Jorgensen.
Yeah, I had my doctor ask me how I felt about Caitlyn Jenner. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah. No, not really.
I can kind of get why people would ask ask your opinion of the high profile people that are tangentially related, because they're in the media and they kind of present a picture that most people see of all of us, and it's like, yeah, not good.
But Laverne Cox and Janet Mock were much better activists and spokespeople.
Well, it's because they gave a shit. Caitlyn Jenner killed someone on Pacific Coast Highway and got away with it. Do you know the average American would be in prison for life if they did that? Intoxicated and hit someone?
Well,
No matter
yeah.
where
Yeah,
you
of course
live.
we would be.
But if you're rich
because-
enough or famous enough, then the laws don't apply to you.
And white enough.
And her
I was going to
family-
say you got to be white enough. Yeah.
Her family, well, nah, OJ and Kobe proved that wrong. But my whole point is
Touche.
her family owns that area, you know. Her family owns that, you know, giant swatches of land. So not all are great people.
It's like all of a sudden, it's all like, yeah, this former sports hero becomes trans. Let's make her the spokesperson for the trans community.
Oh God, that pisses me off more than anything in the media. God damn it, she is nothing to be one of our spokesman for us. No way, not one single word can she say that represents us.
Jermaine
But-
Greer and J.K. Rowling would be better choices.
If you can't judge the whole community by a single person, what are
People
we
do.
supposed
But
to
people do.
Then you'll have to judge each person on their own merits.
She's one of the main reasons. Well, not the main. She's part of a bigger reason of why I don't watch my local news anymore. Because anytime anything happens, they go and talk to her or another Kardashian or somebody else, and it's gross. It's gross. I'm over all of it. I'm this close. Oh, the Los Angeles Kings scored again. Back to you, Purple. Or God.
What's the score?
It's 2-0. We're playing the Blackhawks this evening, and right now by proxy, if you're not a Blackhawks fan, we're all Kings fans, and we don't like the Blackhawks.
I am a
No.
Blackhawks fan. I have a Blackhawks cap.
Just a question. What sport is this anyway?
Hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hockey.
No,
10
I'm
men
not a
with
fan.
sticks. 10
Me
angry
either.
men with sticks beating each other up.
Hockey, I love it because it's the last
Over a
sport where
Tupperware lid.
you could beat the hell out. This year, I don't know. They're like, ever since COVID, they've just let them beat the crap out of each other. So every game, like I said 2 years ago, man, hockey's really violent. And then I said it again this year and saw it on a live stream, and I'm like, well, I guess it was always violent, you know. But they're going at it.
You know, I never learned to skate, but
Nothing wrong with
actually
that.
floor hockey was one of the few sports in school that I was actually any good at.
I love skating, even
Back-
without a stick.
Back when I was a kid, hockey, you would never see a picture of a hockey player. This was before they wore things like helmets and face guards and mouth guards and and stuff. There wasn't a hockey player on earth that wasn't missing his front teeth.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I remember
those
seeing
movies.
old pictures of hockey players and they're smiling and those two front teeth are gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's the name
So,
of it?
yeah.
I'm subscribed to a channel where all he does is play all those old games. It's weird to watch because I'm on this thing where we're all kind of wussies compared to people 60 years ago. And
Oh,
if
no,
you
we
watch-
are.
Will,
That's true.
you know, I'm not a Blackhawks fan just because I don't care about sports at all. But you know, back in the 70s, I was growing up in the Chicago suburbs, so
It's okay. That's our
you know,
rival.
I did get to see a couple of Blackhawks games live.
There's a lot more teams now, but back in the 70s and the 80s when there were a few teams, you know, we would see Chicago a gang of times during the season. So they're an old school rival for my hockey club.
Athena will be a Blackhawks fan or whatever fan you want her to be for about 4 tweets.
I still don't think any city should be allowed to have a hockey team that doesn't freeze their own ice in the winter.
We
Yeah,
do.
if
We
you
have
don't have ice freezing outside at some point in the year, you're not allowed to have a hockey team.
What are
Yeah.
you talking about? We have hockey rinks everywhere in California. They just happen to be indoors.
I just have to wonder after that Caitlyn Jenner thing. Could I get the local news station to hire a necromancer and dig up Eugene Debs and John Dillinger so they can comment on stuff in Terre Haute?
Yes. In California, yes.
Not in California.
Okay. Well, where I live, sometimes I watch the news and I'm like, you could only get away with this shit here in California. Like, we're very diverse here. Very.
Yes, you have all
diverse.
kinds of white people.
No, we have we have a large amount of people from Korea, from Mexico, from El Salvador, from China, people from Armenia, India.
We have meth heads with teeth, meth heads without teeth.
Oh, that's my area. You know what's really funny? I live in the suburbs, and I'm like people, where I live, there is literally a gang of white kids robbing houses right now in my area, and they don't care. Their pictures are all over the news. They're on everybody's camera, and I'm like, only in the suburbs are people scared of a gang, and it's like 4 dudes and 3 blonde girls, and they go around kicking in people's doors.
You got a real scary crime thing going on there right now with follow home robberies.
Okay, I've been saying this for a long time. LA is no joke. It's worse than the movies. It's not for the faint of heart. If somebody was to walk in here right now unexpected, I would make this live stream go viral in 10 seconds. Because it would be like the Wild Wild West in here. Like, LA is no joke. You can lose your life flipping somebody off on the freeway. Like, when my mom goes to events and stuff, my brother or I will either accompany her or we'll go on a bike or something just to look extra scary.
Hasn't Will Smith suffered enough? Do you have to bring up Wild Wild West?
No, I told you I broke up with Will Smith a year ago. Will Smith hurt my feelings a long time ago. No, LA's no joke. Like, if you have no business being here, don't move here.
Why would?
There's 2 drag queens that I watch. They're moving here, and I'm like, why would you move here in the height of? It's like the 90s all over again. Yeah, it's bad. I'm trying to get everyone to move either out to the country or out of this area. That's how bad it is.
I tell people to move to Minnesota, but not if they're from California.
Listen, please come to red states. We need you.
I do vote in every election. I vote in every election. I do my research too.
Hey, I keep saying that we should just start a refugee camp in Minnesota for all the people from the red states who need to escape.
I live in a blue state, but it's like, bad.
Oh,
here.
hi, Randolph.
Hey, Randolph.
Yeah, I live in the state.
Randolph.
We just need to get a few people together to kind of combine our resources, and we can buy an abandoned mining town, and we can declare ourselves an independent city. Fill the whole city council with our own people, and then spread out until we take over the state.
I live in the state that has LGBT
Sounds good.
protection.
Let's do it.
I live in a state that only has LGBT protections because Pence screwed up so badly that even NASCAR told him he was a bigot.
the extremist right-wing militia types have been trying that strategy in a number of places in New Hampshire. They believe that they can take over the entire state and make it their own. And if they get enough people who vote the ideology, it'll happen.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, they're getting away with it because they're threatening people who are currently, in like city and county offices, and they're scaring people out of running for office.
Okay, and also there is a massive libertarian movement where they're trying to get everybody to be in one place at one time, and New Hampshire is the place, and Keene, New Hampshire is where everyone's moving to. I used to listen to a radio show that was based in it, but they started going way out in the weeds about Bitcoin, and they just started talking about the same thing over and over. It is a mass movement. I'm one of those people, I try to learn my lessons. Like, it just reeks of Jonestown, like a whiny Jonestown with the Starbucks.
Actually, I'm guessing with that, how many of you have played BioShock? The original.
I have not.
I've played a little bit of the original.
What that town needs is a Frank Fontaine.
I'm just shocked at how many people from around the country are actually moving there. Like, mass movements scare me because people are easily controlled. You can't tell
Mhm.
me a damn thing. I want to see a deed. I do my research. I'm very evidence driven, you know. But it just shocks me. And you know, they've slowly been building up, and now they have numbers in New Hampshire. So the whole New Hampshire thing is real, but they recently tried to succeed and they got shot down by their own legislation, because the truth is the federal government will just come in and be like, okay, then you guys don't want to be American citizens, GTFO. This is still our land. Like, America will have eminent domain regardless of what anyone thinks, because they have bigger tanks. They have drones and tanks. Like, so you can secede all you want, but they'll just tell you to get out. So yeah, the libertarians have numbers right now in New Hampshire.
They're trying to pull the rapture. The Atlas Shrugged thing, it sounds like.
But I was really surprised they got shot down by their own people. So their own people were like, hey, you guys are you know, you're getting too big for your britches here.
Not every libertarian is an anarchist, and people don't understand that.
I don't care who the libertarian is. The libertarians are just Republicans without the morality.
But what about the left-wing libertarians? They exist.
The what? I'm sorry?
Libertarian doesn't really... You're referring to the Libertarian capital L party in America. Libertarian doesn't...
Yes.
Libertarian is the opposite of authoritarian, generally.
That's who Porpoise, that's who I was mainly talking about. It was people that were affiliated with those people. In a lot of ways,
the only problem I have with libertarians is that they seem to believe that all of our, you know, infrastructure and all of our support systems will function just fine without any government, and I don't see how that's supposed to work.
Because they're in favor of capitalism, but they've clearly never read Adam Smith. I don't know what God was going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, this one libertarian I used to listen to, they're really idealistic. They're like, oh, we'll barter and we'll trade. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we live in America. He who has the most bullets would win. If you took away the federal government, we would jump back hundreds of years instantly.
Have any of you seen the new documentary, Ken Burns documentary about Ben Franklin?
No,
I
but
strongly recommend that you watch it. It will blow your mind away as kind of what kind of person Ben Franklin is. But it also provides details and behind the scenes things that we don't get taught in high school about the American Revolution.
Ben Franklin
it will inform you greatly.
Founding fathers.
He is the reason we have this country, because he performed for the French.
Ben Franklin is an interesting character.
Goody, what is it? Prudence Goodwife was his pen name?
Well,
something like that. He had some weird name.
One of Ben Franklin's
good wife to write nasty letters to the editor under anonymous.
It's my favorite American.
One of Ben Franklin's most controversial opinions for the time was he stated that given equal access to education, women could be just as intelligent as men. And to prove the point, he taught several of the French nobles' wives to play chess. And that actually is part of how he got the support from France. He made bets with the French nobles that he could teach their wives to beat him at chess, and that's how he got him to support us.
Well, I'd also like to point out.
Wager.
To point out. Well, they were also fighting the English. That was a huge.
Well, yeah, they were happy to shoot at the English.
But Benjamin Franklin also went on a rant against German immigrants to basically the Pennsylvania Dutch, calling them Palatine Boers, and the fancy Dutch, as they were called, had the perfect response. They gleefully published Benjamin Franklin's articles in German and English, wrote their own articles alongside, and just mocked him for it.
They also aligned with the French
Well, he
and were
definitely had some
a
of
pain
his
in
own
the ass during the
prejudice.
Revolution.
And yeah, actually, during the Revolution, there were a lot of people in the U.S. who didn't want to separate from Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we call those collaborators.
I believe we call them
Tories.
Tories.
I
Yep,
know.
at the time they were called Tories.
I
I'm
know.
not sure if they're at all related to the Tory party they have now.
We call the MAGA crowd collaborators.
Did you know that Benjamin Franklin's son William was the British governor of New Jersey and stayed that way during the Revolution?
Crazy.
Well,
Oh, good gods.
And Franklin basically disowned him and never talked to him again after that.
Yeah, he was a fracking collaborator. I watched way too much Battlestar Galactica.
But he got a hold of his grandson, fathered by William, and raised that kid on the right side of things. William Temple Franklin.
Going back to something in chat, I just want to say I actually like the Fountainhead as a work of art because it shows, part of the things I like about it is it shows what's wrong with objectivism. But for some reason, she took away all of that in Atlas Shrugged. And I don't see why people say this is such a great book. It's a terrible book.
Oh, she was an average writer at best. And a hypocrite on top of all of it. Like most right-wingers.
But, well, she's also a product of the communist collectivist farm.
Yeah, and she grew up and turned right-winger because of it.
Well, it's understandable that she would do that, but as from the Fountainhead is written well.
I grew up around very, very conservative people, and I didn't turn out too red.
Sure, you did.
I know lots of Russian immigrants, and none of them are Nazis.
Like I said, I'm friends with all the people that own the pot shop. They're all Russians, and they're actually really cool people.
I don't think you can call Ayn Rand a Nazi. I mean, she has a lot of problems with philosophy, but she was not. It's best you can say she was a victim of governmental abuse, and it kind of screwed her up for the rest of her life.
Hey, Gilroy. I should really start wearing my glasses, but I'm too vain.
I just want to point out, nowhere did I say Atlas Shrugged was a good book. Because she tries to make it fit objectivism and show what she thinks is right with it, and that's why it fails.
The problem with Atlas Shrugged is that there's just way too many conservative youngsters who read that and think that it's a documentary.
Well, they also don't understand what she's saying either, because she wasn't necessarily in favor of all industrialists either. She would not be on board with Elon Musk.
Huh.
No, I don't know why anybody is at this point.
Is okay, so because I really don't pay attention nor care, is he really trying to buy Twitter?
Yes.
He was.
Because of pronouns?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't
I'm not
think it was
sure what
pronouns.
his reason was, but yes, he did want to buy Twitter.
I saw a meme and I was like, I'm out. It was like
He's after the cancel culture. He's after the bots that supposedly limit speech. He's after the dumping of people who are abusive, like Trump, that kind of thing. And he thinks that if he buys Twitter and takes care of all that, that the world will be a better place. It'll become much worse if that goes on.
Interestingly enough, Elon Musk, or whoever is working for him, has removed all references to the Boring Company from his website.
Actually,
so the whole Hyperloop thing is supposed to quietly go away, and we're supposed to forget that he ever mentioned it.
Well, he's just rehashing old ideas to see what sticks, and the Hyperloop was a bad idea when it was initially proposed.
But nobody ever actually experimented with the concept, and that had to be done before anybody really truly knew if it was going to be a flop.
But I'd also like to point out we should have give Elon Musk his proper title, the world's biggest welfare queen.
Do we? I'm laughing because a lot of people may have I don't know if it was national news, but there is like 800 miles of railway that people are trying to figure out what to do, because he was trying to run a train from San Francisco to LA, because there's these little mountains called the Sierra Nevadas in the way.
Yep.
And no one has ever been able to do it. The way the 5 freeway was built was they literally blew up the mountain and just went straight through the mountain and, made their own way through the mountain, So he has a lot of flops. And his trash is in our backyard, at least in California.
Maybe someone can take it and make a maglev train like China has, high-speed maglev train.
They're trying, actually. They're like trying to think of viable ways to actually do something with it.
I would love to see high-speed interstate rail in the U.S. We've got to get away from everybody having to have a car to go everywhere.
In my neighborhood, every person owns at least 2 or 3 cars. And
here's an idea. Let's build maglevs. Okay, a massive program to put maglevs all over the country. Would employ everybody. Okay, it would boost up the economy from technical equipment spending, and then what they do to make it actually work is that you don't buy a ticket for the maglev, you buy a ticket for existing in that city for your trip, and when you get there you automatically get one of the cars that belongs to the rail company to drive around and take care of your needs. An electric car, of course, while you're there, and then you take it back to the station and get back on your maglev and go home.
There are some problems with the idea of maglevs everywhere, mostly being that it only works in areas where there's lots of space between the cities, so it won't work in densely populated areas like the East Coast. But if you wanted to go from like Chicago to New Vegas. Yeah. I meant Las Vegas.
I got that one.
No, but that's exactly what I mean. That's what we need, is high-speed trains that go between the major cities.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have to have more conventional transportation to get to the hubs, but still.
We have a track built here in it just makes me laugh of the level of failure. And then they just kind of stopped talking about it. Because they couldn't stop talking about it. And then one day they just stopped talking about it.
I want teleportation.
Oh, that would be
well, that's not going to happen.
That one gets into the ethical problems of, is it true teleportation or is it just making remote copies?
I think it wouldn't matter as long as the memories are intact.
Same.
Yep,
and
I agree.
That would be cool to meet Ion Storm sewing. It would be so cool. It's not even funny. And if you're a Star Trek fan, you got that.
Sadly I did.
Yeah, I think it is still you if you're teleported, if you're disintegrated and copied and rebuilt, because that happens to us all the time, just little by little.
I teleported home last night.
With Ron and Sydney and Meg. Ron stole Maggie's heart away, and I got Sydney's leg.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
That one.
That was perfectly timed. I don't know if that was intentional.
That teleportation would be awesome. Or like in every sci-fi show, like in Stargate, in the episode 2010 where they meet the species called the Shin. The Shin give human beings the ability to touch, stand on something and touch it and go anywhere in the world instantaneous. That would be awesome too.
Listen, have you ever had to fill 900 pages with boring, pointless Trek about a philosophy that really doesn't work and try to make it consistent. I think we should appreciate what Ayn Rand had to do there.
Yeah. I'll take anything that's instantaneous. Well, I hate to say it, but you know, it's 2022. Where's my starship? We're past Marty McFly and the and the hoverboard. Where's my starship?
Yeah, when the Jetsons premiered, Joseph Hanna said it was set in the year 2005.
Exactly. There's a really cool chart somewhere out there where it shows all the progression of all the shows and everything in the movies.
Listen, at this point, I'm just waiting for October 23rd, 2077.
Is that one? No, hold on. I have to look it up now.
Okay, I don't know the reference for that one.
It's not when Kirk's born, is it?
Wrong franchise. Right century for the most recent games, though. Except for Fallout 76. Actually, I do think we should encourage more e-bikes, mopeds, and make that infrastructure more friendly. I also think one of the things we really need to do is start making electric cars affordable for the average person, because phasing out electric cars isn't really going to help quickly. Because it's going to take another 10 years for it to get down to the, like, where people like me can afford it.
Yeah. Well, I think, we should start right now with the government at least giving, tax incentives for people buying electric cars.
Actually, I think we're probably going to have to subsidize these. We're going to have to start building industry back up and subsidizing these industries through the government. So we're going to have more Elon Musk, God forbid.
But what about people like me that in 2024 in the state of California, we have to get rid of all small gas-powered motors? That means I can't use leaf blowers, weed whackers, generators.
Yeah.
Certain like even mini bikes, like not motorcycles, and I think they're dumb, but I think people should be able to do whatever they want. But those really small motorcycles are going to be illegal here too.
Yeah, I still don't see as that's going to work that soon, and that there's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to have major problems with that.
Just in my house right now, I have I probably have like 6 gas generators because I'm ready for the apocalypse. Come at me. Come at me.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I have an electric but basically it's an electric inverter that has its own solar panels and shit. And I can plug it in and charge it, or I can just set the solar panels out. It's not enough to run my whole house, but if I get 3 more sets of those solar panels, I could run my house off of it. So just everything except for the AC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
hear you, man. You never know. Screwed. It's better to be safe than sorry.
I'm screwed though, because they're gonna outlaw all this stuff. I'm gonna keep it because I'm a bit of a survivalist, but like not in the psycho way, but I'm a just in case because I don't believe in humanity.
I think what we all need right now is a kitty in front of us that's letting us hit them and laying on our cell phone.
And what about?
I have the kitty laying on the footrest of my chair here.
What about jet skis? And because jet skis they're tiny. It's not like a Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo is a motorcycle on water. What about like a jet ski motor? That's considered a way smaller motor. It's going to be interesting to see what's illegal and not illegal.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, they're talking about getting rid of the small engines. So you're also telling people that they can't have like mopeds and scooters anymore. They've got to buy cars now.
And the younger generation, those weird framed dune buggies, they look like a VW thing, but they have a whole roll cage. It's just a giant roll cage. Those are popular again. Those are just giant exposed motors. They're not big motors necessarily,
My 1957 Isetta got almost 60 miles to the gallon.
Yikes.
My 1972 Buick Electra got 60 gallons to the mile.
Now, of
Why
course, I said it couldn't go over 45 miles an hour, but
Okay, my 93 Geo Metro, could maintain highway speeds and got 53 miles to the gallon on the highway.
mm-hmm.
And the thing about the Geo Metros is that for their time, they were downright primitive. There were no electronics in there. That had a carburetor. So if you could build a car in the 90s that got 50 miles to the gallon using technology from the 60s, I don't see why we can't do that now.
The original Volkswagen Bug got great gas mileage, I'm sure.
The original Bugs were getting around 25 to 30, 33 miles to the gallon.
Considering their design, that's pretty good.
Kilroy,
well,
I
actually,
agree with
that
you.
was the main criteria for them, is that Hitler wanted the VW cars to be for staff cars, but he knew that Germany was going to have a critical problem of not having enough oil when they went to war.
We don't need to bring up Volkswagens. Actually, I don't think he founded Volkswagen, but he was definitely... I'm not sure about
Kilroy,
that.
I agree with Kilroy. I'm of the weird elk where if it was up to me, I would get rid of all cars. I hate cars. I've almost gone to jail twice for road rage. I hate driving in the first place, even though I like going places. Like
Yeah.
I hate cars.
I would not drive if I had an option.
Yes. I can tell you live in some place where it doesn't snow.
Nope, I live in Minnesota. I still don't like cars.
I was referring to God with Zoe.
Yep.
Oh, I live in Cat. No, it doesn't. It doesn't snow here ever.
No, actually, where I am, this would be a great place to have an e-bike. Except that I've got no place to store it overnight. That I can be sure nobody's going to mess with it.
I love cars. They were my entire adult life in the business. But what we need to get rid of in cars is not the cars themselves. We need to get rid of the attitude that everything has to fit and be sold to make the white cis het red blue or redneck son of a bitch as the goal marketplace, as the goal demographic. The car is not bad. It's what they do with the cars and what it takes to make these guys happy. They're not happy unless they have the big fucking pickup or SUV with this goddamn 6-7 liter motor. It's like, come on. There are people whose vehicles are working vehicles. I see them around here all the time, where they're towing tractors and all kinds of heavy equipment. And I don't begrudge them to have that kind of vehicle. But God damn it, if you live in the city, you don't drive more than 30 miles a day.
I have no problem with pickup trucks and vans, but SUVs have no reason to exist.
They're child carriers.
They're
for carrying children and animals.
I helped raise 9 kids. I usually drove a hatchback.
I'm pretty sure
I had a hatchback with 2 babies in the back.
I apologize, Purple. You're absolutely right. Let me backtrack. Let me restate that. It's for rich people who have lots of kids. Because they are expensive as fuck. And I have a pickup truck, but I also, before I bought my tiny house and built it out, I had a Toyota CHR. It was a badass little fucking car. It was a great fucking car. Anyways, so I don't mind driving an economy vehicle if I don't need a truck. I didn't need a truck for a couple of years, so I bought an economy vehicle and just boosted my credit up easy because it was a cheaper monthly payment,
Well, I used to buy a Chevy Suburban, but that's because I had to haul full sheets of drywall around a couple times a week.
And they will fit in there.
Actually,
that was the criteria for buying the Suburban. I needed something that I could put a 4x8 sheet in and still close the back end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Marcus. Can I bring up something different about cars they really need to stop doing? Stop tying the entertainment wireless systems to the same systems that control the brake. Air gap those systems.
I was gonna say in my giant truck, I have a
I don't understand. Squid. I don't understand. Or Squid. I'm sorry, Porpoise. I don't understand that.
Squid.
No, they combine. I know exactly what she's talking about.
I don't.
Basically, how would you like me to make sure your brakes don't work because I hacked through your Wi-Fi? Car's Wi-Fi.
Okay, and Kilroy is saying that it's because of increased safety standards. And again, I'm not buying that. You know, we've got small cars that meet all the safety standards.
I'm still waiting to hear the problem that occurs.
I don't know.
The fact that I can cause your car to crash because your brakes go out. Because those systems don't need to be connected.
To what?
The audio, like the
cars that have and basically cars that allow either have like some sort of Wi-Fi connection or Bluetooth connection.
Ah, okay. Now see, that was the missing factor here.
It actually was there the whole time. Maybe you just didn't hear this. Maybe you didn't understand what air gap meant.
No, I guess I didn't.
No, I didn't get it either. But yeah, it's you know, I've had older cars. I've had cars that don't have all the electronic shit. I don't need that. You know, and I've had cars with power brakes that burst a brake line. And I could still manage to stop it. Yeah, it was hard as hell, but I still brought it to a stop.
I want to say really quick about the safety standards. Some of them are amazing, but I've been in 2 major car accidents like where I could have died, and both I was in giant trucks, and both instances it saved my life. And when I was in my white 1988 Ford F-150, a young man hit me with his brand new car and totaled his car, and I just pulled the dent out of my 88, and it destroyed his car. I mean, like my truck ate him alive. It was sad.
And I drove home. What happens.
Yeah,
and I drove home, you know.
How about how many accidents I haven't been in because I had a car that was small enough to get out of the way?
How about how many accidents I haven't been in because I wasn't driving at the time?
I first new car I ever owned was a Mazda 3. I missed that car, even though I did get a ticket for going 100. And the CHP was nice and put it down to 90 because anything over 100 is you're going to jail.
I don't think I've ever.
That was nice of them then.
Traditionally, our CHP are nice because most police are dicks, no matter where you are in California.
Yeah,
so the highway patrol are nice.
Okay, I'm old enough to have driven cars from the 60s that did not have power steering or power brakes. So those are good things to have.
Actually, I think my Buick Electra was one of the first cars to have systems like that.
Oh, that's funny.
What year was it?
72.
Yeah, that's pretty damn old.
Yeah, I learned to drive in station wagons from the early to mid 60s.
Well, I had this car in the 90s, so in early 2000s. Awesome car.
In 72, I was driving a 65 Ford Galaxy. Two door. Was that 2-door? Yeah, I think it was 2-door.
As I was saying, I owned the 72 Buick Electra in the 90s.
Well, the car I drive nowadays is 26 years old.
And I own a 15-year-old minivan.
My car's 20 years old this year.
I mean, I'm probably going to have to get a new one soon, but honestly, I didn't want to get a minivan. It's just, when I was looking at the cars, this one had the best engine.
Yeah.
Not a great body, but the best engine.
Yeah, well, I get that too, that, you know, all the things that are supposed to help you find cars to buy, you know, you're supposed to look up a make and model, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about the make and model. Show me something that, you know, I can buy that's under $2,000 that will actually get me to town and back.
That's the reason I hate cars. That is the exact reason, because they're so I'm not saying they're overpriced, but they're overpriced.
Well, it would also help.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They are overpriced.
It would also help if we had better transportation in the smaller cities. It's like having to wait an hour for a bus can be.
Oh, waiting for a bus in the dead of winter is just horrible.
Again, I've lived in warm weather cities,
Yeah.
so I kind of miss taking the bus.
Well, yeah.
My town has a transit, and you wait a half hour for it, but still in freaking below zero weather, even a half hour is lethal.
Oh yeah.
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 If they
Well,
want people to take mass transit, seriously want to take people to take mass transit up here in the winter states, they need to buy or build at every bus stop, not every other, not every third, not everyone on a big street.
Every single
Every
one.
single shelter bus stop needs to have a shelter with a door that closes and absolutely stops the wind, has maybe a little bit of warmth in it to get it up to at least freezing, and treat people like human beings. That they're.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest
You're
reasons people don't take
crazy.
mass transit is wanting to stand out there on the
Yeah,
bus
but
stop.
It's true.
hostile architecture makes more
Agreed.
money because they hire people. It's cheaper to keep people out than to keep them in.
Well,
Then,
one of the
than to
things
house
they
them.
could do now that would make mass transit so much better, so you're not guessing about how long you're waiting. There isn't any reason they can't have an app in your phone that you can track what was the last stop the bus passed by and how many minutes until it
Oh,
gets to your
they have
location.
those.
Where
Exactly.
where the bus exactly is at the moment.
Yeah,
LA,
most major cities have apps like that for their bus lines.
Yeah, MTA has that. LA's MTA has that.
Okay.
I
Because
should
I'm
look
with
into
you, Penny,
mine.
about, in the cold weather. I lived in Minneapolis for 3 years. I didn't have a car. So I was taking the bus to work every day.
And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Reno, Nevada has the most reliable transit system I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really?
Every 15 minutes. Well, it's a casino town,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
it's accepting, everything's near casinos, so they want you there. Like, when I worked for crappy Carl's Jr., they sent me to Reno to help open a store, which just reinforced my gambling habit, really. But their buses are the most reliable I've ever seen in America.
All right, everyone.
That's crazy.
I've got a calculus quiz tomorrow, so I should probably get to bed. Remember, everyone, be excellent to each other.
Nice to have you here.
Send me your money. And so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Bye.
Okay, thanks for stopping in.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
But Nevada is smart about that. Like, they want you in those casinos. And Vegas is kind of like that, too. Like, if you stay at certain casinos, you can take their transit for free.
Right. Yeah.
Because they want your wasted ass to be able to go places and then get lost and go to another casino.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you know how, I don't know if you know or not, Will, but in Morgantown, West Virginia, they have a transit system for the students, or basically almost everybody can use it. And it's just a monorail, and it's just these little cars, and it's set on a schedule, and it's within 2 minutes of being there every single time. They're heated, and it's a great way to get across town if you don't want to drive and everything. And it wasn't very expensive for the university to put in. Every city could afford that. Every city could afford that.
Portland,
I would like to see the idea of a the light rails that they have, instead of having a light rail with a bus sized or double bus sized carrier, which are many times way empty, except for rush hour. Right. Have a line like a monorail is a good choice, where you have units that people ride in, maybe 2 or 4 people per unit.
That's exactly what they have.
That are spaced out, so that they can arrive at a station. You get X number of minutes to bail out, and then it starts to move to the next thing, whether it's loaded with people or not.
That's exactly what theirs does. They have 3 or 4 cars put together. Each car holds about, I'd say 6, maybe 8 people. And they're just like head height. They're not very big.
Yep.
They're real cheap to run. Yeah, no, that was smart.
Yeah, well,
that's exactly how they did it.
It's what's often called personal rapid transit.
Kilroy.
Yes, that's what they're called. PRTs. They call it the PRT.
Kilroy,
exactly
I
what it
agree
is.
with
Thank
what
you.
you're saying as
Oh,
far as the
in-
basics on a car, but those days are over.
Yep.
It's
But
just
the big
So
problem.
better buy
in
somebody
Portland,
some
Oregon, they
better
have
buy really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Will.
a max they called the Max in Portland. Oregon. Good idea. But it's like here in LA, if you go in the wrong neighborhood, you're gonna get a 45 in your face.
Yeah.
And I witnessed this poor kid. He just because he was Mexican and he happened to be in an all black neighborhood. And it was like this was 20 years ago when there were rivalries all up and down the West Coast. But this kid got jumped by like 20 people on the train right in front of me.
What?
Cops came. Oh yeah, it was awful. So
And nothing you can do. There's 20 of them. You're just like,
it was
sorry,
unreal.
bro.
It
You
was
can't do
so
anything.
unreal. And I was telling people like, hey man, back up because you don't want to get killed either. And then because I saw this really sad story. LA's going down the tubes. It's unsafe to ride the train now, and people are getting robbed on the train. And it reminded me of Portland, Oregon. Like,
Yeah.
but we have this. We had a very awesome system in LA. You can go from almost Pasadena, which is in the mountains, all the way to the ocean on the transit. You know, it's awesome.
Me too, Kilroy.
But you go through some terrible neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great system, and I had seen it before, but when back in '89 when the car accident happened, my mom was in the hospital. She was in Ruby Memorial, which is one of the university hospitals, and it's their big like trauma, got all the bells and whistles teaching center, and the transit system goes right through there. And so I would walk like 3 blocks, get on the transit system, go all the way down and walk half a block, and I was right there at the hospital.
That's awesome for people like me who like to smoke weed and wander around.
It's true. Yeah. I knew guys that were like students, and sometimes they just get on the transit and just ride down to one end and then ride all the way back to the other end and then back to where they were and just look at shit. Because you always saw shit. You know, you always saw something different.
I need them to figure
and it was
out
some of it was a
system.
beautiful ride.
I need them to figure out a system that serves people in my situation. You know, and I got thousands of people out here in the rural area that need to get to the main city, La Crosse or Winona, and
yeah,
if you don't have a car, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Or if you can't afford it, it sucks.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be having a medical procedure done every day for the next 30 days, and I can't do it because I
How
can't
the
afford
fuck?
the gas to go out there and do it.
Right. My God.
We're like one of the only countries in the world where they would allow that to go on. We're here in LA, we have this thing called Dial-A-Ride, where if you're a person with a disability or a senior citizen, they'll pick you up and take you home for free.
Yep, we've got that here too.
Nice.
I think it should be in every city.
Yeah, they have they have that part of our transit system here. Well, in Santa Fe, not where I live. I live out in the boonies, but yeah, they have that there. They have the little transit vans for like elderly people, and then they have the handicapped bus thing that they pick up elderly people and handicapped people on, and then they have the buses.
Jenny?
Yeah. And they run the same basic routes, they just run less often.
Jenny, let's
Less of
discuss this, privately tomorrow. I don't know what the insurance plan is you're on or that, but here our insurance plan actually covers that if you don't have a way to get to a doctor's appointment or a medical procedure, the insurance company will actually foot the bill for a driver to take you there and back. And Sloth Girl had to use that when I was at Diana's, because she had to go into the cities for one. It was like 65 miles away to the specialist she had to see.
Right.
We have the same thing here.
They have a similar program out in this county, except it all works with volunteer drivers and stuff, and they can't get enough people to volunteer, so they have to say, sorry, we can't get you a ride there.
Okay, yeah, I could see that would be a problem.
Yeah.
That's the only advantage of living in a city is we're more powerful in numbers.
Yeah. Although Jenny, if you've got your own car, the Medicaid also does have things about basically reimbursing you mileage to cover the gas.
Yeah, if you get Medicaid. I don't have Medicaid.
Oh, okay. I
Oh.
thought you were.
Nope, I'm too rich to have Medicaid.
Oh, what a bunch of hornswoggle. Like I said, we're the only.
Well, come
country in
on
the
now.
world-
They pay me they pay me a little over $1,000 a month. You know, that's rich
Oh,
city.
Oh my god.
It's just it really pisses
I need
me
twice
off.
as much as that to live.
It's just people of privilege don't understand. Like, I know someone who recently got a new mouth and they were like, oh yeah, I just paid 50 grand and I got a new mouth. And I'm like, do you realize how much money that is to the average person?
Like, but they don't. They don't even. It's not
No,
even on their radar, man.
no.
They don't understand.
I need like
Silver
$100,000.
Yeah, right.
It's just it's because I was down and out throughout my entire 20s. I know how it is.
Well, you know, the socioeconomic scale is like being on a ladder. And I don't think anyone can ever see like more than 2 steps above them or 2 steps below them. So somebody who makes $50,000 a year sees somebody living on $30,000 a year and think, you know, that's the basement bottom poor.
Oh. Kilroy said Tom Scott did a snappy little video on the Morgantown, West Virginia PRT. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It's pretty cool. They have it set up nice.
It's like that around here. My like I always say, my neighbor bought a Lamborghini. And the owner of the restaurant that I go to, I recently went to a buffet, and it was the first time I've been to a buffet in almost 3 years. But he drives a Ferrari. People around here live in outer space.
Right?
They don't
It's
have
true.
a concept, you know.
Yeah,
as to
what Major's
how the-
saying here, there was a PRT system like this proposed for Minneapolis back in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, that would be, like you were saying, that, you know, it would be cars on a rail that would take 4 people each.
Yeah.
And that if you went to the stop and pressed a button, it would just, you know, dispatch one to your location.
Yeah.
So that was proposed for Minneapolis, but of course it never got any funding, so it had to die.
I'm not shocked.
You know, I forgot about how much I hate crickets.
Yeah.
Because it's been a few months.
Although I think
They're back.
I love crickets, man. Put me to
I
sleep.
think a big part of the problem cities have with personal rapid transit is that if you have vehicles moving around that have no drivers, you know, there's nobody to monitor it. And I think there would be a serious problem, especially with vandalism.
We have
there absolutely would be. Yeah.
we
There'd be
have
some
one
old
that-
homeless guy living in it and just pressing a button to a new place.
Yeah.
we have an Amazon driverless vehicle that drives around my town. It's weird.
How does it make the deliveries?
There's
Do
a
you have to
person
go
in
out
the
to the
back seat.
truck?
There's a person in the back seat. It's an experimental vehicle.
I saw somebody was
If-
doing that.
if
Isn't that
there's a
someplace like
person in the
Domino's or
vehicle-
something like that trying that?
There's
was
a
that?
they put a massive Amazon hub over on the other side of the freeway.
Amazon.
So we get all their experimental crap now in my town.
Nice.
If
Yeah,
the
but-
vehicle
Cool,
has
though.
to carry a person, what is the point of making it driverless?
No, because it's experimental still. The person's there in case of an emergency.
The same thing happened in Phoenix, and they killed someone. Who was it? Uber? No, not Uber. Help me out. Who had the first driverless car? But it was driving around Phoenix because Phoenix is a perfect.
I think it may have been Google.
I think it was Google too. That's
because
exactly what I was thinking. Perfect.
Phoenix is
Yeah.
perfect because they have wide open streets like Vegas. So
And it's
Phoenix,
everything's like a grid in Phoenix too. Yep.
and same in my town. My town was built up in the 70s, so it's much more on a grid.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So, but it's weird to see a car with someone reading a magazine in the back, you know.
Yeah, and it's driving down the road, and he's like, "Yeah, we're good."
He's
Yeah.
Facebook famous because I live in the land of Karens, and all the Karens are losing their shit. They're like, "How is this car legal?" And It's great to watch on Facebook. It's great to watch.
Yeah.
Karen,
Minneapolis
you drive
tried to
home
plan-
drunk from the bar after work every night after
Oh,
having wine
Karen
with your
fights-
buddies.
Karen fights the cops here. Karen's crazy.
Oh yeah, Karens are crazy. They really are.
Minneapolis tried to plan out their streets all nice like that, but the problem Minneapolis had is you can barely drive a mile without hitting a lake.
Ugh.
You
We
know,
have a
so
lot
it's
of
like we've got all sorts of weird parkways because they have to like wind between two lakes.
The problem with Minneapolis roads is that, like most cities, have north, south, east, west roads.
Yeah.
Minneapolis has northwest, southeast, southwest.
Okay.
You know, they have
Yeah.
all these in the middle directions for their
Boston.
angled streets, and it's like, holy fuck.
Boston, Massachusetts is like that. It's like someone took a bowl of spaghetti and then
Yeah.
started drawing the roads around it. Like, it's the most confusing place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah,
Well,
it's pathetic.
I've heard the claim about Boston, and some people have refuted it, but the evidence still supports it. That all
I've been-
Boston did was go and pave the cow paths.
If you go to San Francisco and you're there for a week, you could learn every street. Try that in Boston. Try that.
Well, it's London as well. The average citizens have no clue about where most of the streets in the city are or what their name is and stuff like that. The
Mhm.
cabbies, though, are required to basically create a London map in their head
Yeah.
and remember where all
they
the streets
get
are.
tested on it.
They're world
Yep.
famous for that.
The southwest corner of Minneapolis, they did have a great system. That all the east-west streets are just numbered. That's easy to follow. All the north-south streets are in alphabetical order, and it goes through the alphabet 3 times. So it's like really easy to find what you need. Because if the street you need starts with M and you're at C, you just count off how many letters of the alphabet are in between, and you know how far you have to go.
Yeah, we had that kind of system in Milwaukee too, except they just instead of using the alphabet, they use these things called numbers, and you knew right away how many.
Yeah, but well, the nice thing is with the numbered streets going east-west and the lettered streets going north-south, you can't even confuse them. You know, you can't have 26th Street when you need 26th Avenue.
What one of the things that's really nice about Milwaukee is that it is on a grid. It was designed on a grid way back in the 1800s, and it carried through. And there's a number of angle streets in Milwaukee. You can get from north to south of the county, and it's like a 25-mile county by 12 miles wide. You can get end to end of that thing with on side streets. You do not have to go onto the freeway. You know, of course, it takes you longer because you got street light or stoplights and everything, but there's thoroughfares that will get you all the way from end to end. And if you know the all the angle streets, you know, that are kind of radiating out from the middle of the downtown area, you can get there in amazing amounts of time.
Okay, now very few people knew or even now can believe this could be done. But when I was living in St. Paul, I was working on the opposite side of Minneapolis, and I did figure out how to get from one to the other without going on any of the highways. Because at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, getting on any of the highways in between would have just been stupid.
Yeah.
Especially if you tried to get on a 494 where it goes past the airport and Mall of America. You know, you would spend an hour to go about 2 miles as you get past the airport.
I had to check on Young Sewing. He didn't burn down my house.
Oh, you'd have heard the crackling by now.
Well, he's really into tea right now, so he's using the stove, and like I'm trying not to be a hover parent. He's almost my size. He's like flat-footed. He's almost 5'9". So I'm trying to treat him like an adult. My dad got me a Mossberg shotgun for my 13th birthday, and my mom promptly took it away.
So 13, he's going to be a sophomore or a freshman?
An 8th grader.
An 13th or 8th grade? Oh yeah, okay.
The average American's 18 when they graduate.
Yeah.
If we're still talking about streets, Boston is probably, the East Coast in general is probably one of the most confusing places I've ever been. Even like, I didn't spend much time in New York, but I've been to like Maine and stuff. On the West Coast, like when I'm talking like way west, we have more space. So a place like Arizona, it's wide open streets. And if you get lost on a grid, that's on you. And the Los Angeles
Well,
Kings
I had
scored
the
again.
extremes when I was learning how to drive. Because I learned the city driving on the Chicago expressways. And then literally 2 months after I got my license, I moved up to northern Michigan to learn winter driving on the rural roads that don't get plowed.
That is one arrogant thing about me. I learned to drive in Portland rain. And when it rains here in California, people freak out. And I fly past people. I'm like, oh, guys, I got new tires last month. But, it rarely rains here.
Did you know that there is 46,000 charging stations across the country?
For electric cars?
What are they charging for?
For using, I don't know. 46,947, and there's 150,000 plus gas stations.
Yeah, and unfortunately, while that sounds like a lot, I'm sure they're just concentrated around a few major cities, and there are a lot of areas
actually,
that don't have
they
any.
were showing a map, and Texas has them all over the place.
What about California? I know there's quite a few here.
Yeah,
they didn't show the map. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because here in
I
California,
wonder if they're just using the same map as the cell phone coverage that claims you have coverage all over, but once you get the phone, you find out otherwise.
No, these were specific.
They have them
in each location.
They have them in Santa Fe too.
Yeah, they're
all the public parking lots that have, like, for any city parking, any of those parking lots has like 2 or 3 charging stations.
And apparently, one of the things that they're doing with these things now is setting up solar and bringing in energy from wind and running all of those charging stations based on that power source. So it truly becomes a truly zero emissions
I have
program.
I have a question. Is it a federal mandate to put those things in? Because like here in California, it seems like they're everywhere.
Well, if you're a manufacturer, you better, because nobody will buy their car if you can't charge it.
Right.
I'm just noticing them more and more.
Which actually, you would think that the manufacturers would be more interested in, because then they not only sell you the car and sell you the maintenance on the car, but now they can sell you the power supply on the car and make money for the life of the car, not just the original purchase.
Well, Jenny, what I'm wondering about, though, is, places like where you live, where you've got towns that are less than 1,000 people, sometimes, only a couple hundred. What's the chance of finding a charging station in a place like that?
Well, zero.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, that, they're going to be around major cities, but, if you live like more than half an hour out of a major city, you're going to have a hard time finding.
I would expect that as time goes on, we're eventually going to have a charging station at each home, and then the public ones downtown and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a video game. That is like a video game.
Yeah, well, people who own electric cars already have that they've got the charging things that you can buy that you basically just install in your garage, and they run off the 220 hookup from the dryer.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Purple.
Just as like a guesstimate, at our local mall, there's probably like 60 charging stations in the parking lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy here, and that's just
Which
at my
means you
local-
guys are buying more electric cars than anybody else.
Well, people are
That's
people are listening.
They're gonna
People
put them
are
in. Yeah.
No, sorry to interrupt, B, but people are listening. You know,
fine.
I refuse to get punked. Like, you can't punk me. They're literally forcing me. Let's be real. I own three vehicles. Okay, my TARDIS blue truck is dead. I have to sell it. I've been putting stuff in it because I'm a hoarder. I've become that guy. So I'm gonna sell that truck. I'm almost to the point where I'll sell it for whatever. My 1988 truck, they're gonna have to. That was my dad's old truck. They're gonna have to bury me in that thing. And my Ford Flex, like, they keep on offering me a lot of money for it because of the components. So eventually I'll end up selling that car because that car is worth more than I ever,
Although,
it's worth a lot right now.
as far as public charging stations, what I have seen throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin is it looks like all of the quick trip stations have at least 2 or 3 parking spaces with electric chargers.
I have yet to see one of those.
Yeah, I'm starting to see them at gas stations and stuff, but
Well,
mostly
on the
I
quick
see
trip
them at the city
stations,
buildings.
it's usually, like the parking spaces around the side of the building furthest from the door.
It's like that here on the gas
Okay.
stations. And you're right, Stool. Gas is for racists because all the Trumpers do. You know, you could spot a Trumper in my town because you can see how big their truck is.
Right. It's true. Why is that shit, man? Have you ever noticed that in certain towns it's a certain kind of truck?
Yeah.
Like in Texas, they love Fords. So in Ohio, it's the Ford drivers, the
Yeah.
asshole drivers, right? In
Yep.
Ohio, it's the Ford drivers. So I came over here and I was like, well, I wonder if it's the Ford drivers here too, because it was the same in West Virginia. Ford drivers were assholes. Chevy drivers were always nice. So I come here and it's the Dodge Ram drivers and the Ford drivers. But the Dodge Ram drivers are worse here. They have their trucks jacked up and the flag,
I'm
like,
triggered.
oh my
It's
God.
the Dodge Ram people here. It's the Dodge Ram people.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's so weird. See? There's something about that shit.
You see Fords all over the place because that Ford 150 series pickup has been the #1 selling vehicle of SUVs, trucks, cars, the #1 of all of them.
Oh, yeah.
For the past 40 some years.
Yeah, okay, 40 some now.
I've
I knew when it
turned-
was 30 some.
I've
but-
turned my
Gilroy,
truck.
I know the thing you mean about, even the gas stations being further apart. Where I lived in Michigan, I actually had to drive an hour into Wisconsin for the nearest Walmart. And on the Wisconsin State Highway there was one gas station in the middle that generally charged about a quarter gallon more for the gas because he knew there was no place else within 30 miles either direction that you could
Supply and
gas.
demand, baby.
Damn right.
Supply and demand.
You got him. You got him.
Yeah,
Yep,
right.
greed and abuse. That's
Well, yeah,
that's where
if
it's
your
at. That's
needle was
capitalism.
hitting E and you saw him, yeah, you were glad he was there and you were going to pay anything.
There's a
Otherwise,
guy
you had a really long walk into town.
on the way to Vegas. There's a guy who hasn't changed his prices since the 80s. It's $5, and he's always said, "If I'll be here when you need me."
It's always $5.
If you're at his gas station, you're screwed because it's literally out in the middle of nowhere. That means you're really terrible at planning.
And that's out in the middle of where?
Between LA and Vegas.
Oh, really?
Well, see,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a different
It's like-
business
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
strategy.
There's nothing there. I've drove that strip. I know.
It's a different business strategy. It's like figuring, I don't need to have thousands of customers. If I charge enough, I only need 2 customers a week, and I'll keep going.
Damn right.
Yep.
Especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere like that, though. You kind of have to charge a lot.
It's like driving across to Arizona where you see that mountain and you stare at it for like 13 hours and then you finally reach it.
Okay,
I'm sure that they have to, pay a lot higher for the delivery
11
fee on
hours,
everything
whatever.
just to get it out there.
Have you ever asked yourself this question of how the hell do these people live out here? Because I'll drive out in the middle of the desert and you'll see like 15 houses and that's it. And they look like they're living. But it's out in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, how
Yeah.
the hell do these people live here? You know?
Yeah. Oh, I love it out in the middle of nowhere. You know, that's funny because I've never lived in a place where the Chevy drivers are assholes. I have lived in a place where the Jeep drivers were assholes. But I've always drove a Chevy, so everybody's looked at me like one of the good guys, you know?
I drive a Ford. You know what? I drive a Ford, but my truck is like it's a farm truck. So
yeah, you don't have it like jacked and blah blah and stickers and
no,
right.
I need it. I use my
Big
truck
bull
as a tool.
barn.
No, my
Oh yeah,
truck's
well yeah,
it's a tool. You know, I gotta be able to shove a bunch of tools in there.
right, exactly.
And that thing about drywall is real. Like I love being able. My truck's 25 feet long. I can pull a full sheet in there.
Yeah.
Pacific
And
Northwest.
anytime I've had a truck, it's been a Chevy. No, actually, no, I did have one Ford van.
Welcome
And
back,
that was-
Skits.
The Ford van, the steering ripped off of the frame when I was driving it to Minnesota. So.
Oh wow.
Lovely.
My black Ford F-150, my 2001, saved my life because it wasn't poorly made. If it was poorly made, I would have died.
Right. Well, that was a good car. Really? It's pretty smashed up. Yeah, but you didn't see the accident, bro. You don't know what I just lived through.
It's like the commercial.
Look at me.
It's like that commercial when they're like, "Oh, they walked away." You know, have you ever seen that commercial where they show a smashed car and they're like, "The family walked away." You know, it's like they're trying to say, like, "Hey, this car saved someone's life."
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Well, my Chevy Suburban, there was a time that I was trying to get onto an icy highway ramp, and it just skidded and completely jumped off the ramp. But you know, the ramp was all built up, so when it went off the side, it dropped straight down 15 feet. But it landed on all four wheels, checked everybody was okay, and we drove out and got home.
There you go.
You know, and it's like, yeah, well, one thing is those trucks were beasts. The frame had 2 steel I-beams that ran the length of the truck.
Yep, you're not fucking with that. You ain't bending that. You ain't bending that.
You know,
it's true though. It's true.
Sorry, I just read the chat right now, and Jinzu kind of has a point, and I completely forgot about that. Where I live, it's yuppie land, so it's people with expensive cars who are the a-holes. Like now the new thing is everyone owns a Tesla, or everyone owns like the new Beamer. Like there's just these cars driving around. I'm like, what the hell? I have to like Google it. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Take a picture of it.
I did the other day. I was like, it was a Beamer. I was like, holy shit, I'm so out of date. I am so out of date.
Me too. I saw a Porsche the other day and I didn't know what the fuck it was. And I was like, what the fuck is? And I looked at, and I was at a red light and I turned around and looked and it said it was Porsche. But I couldn't tell by the front end. It looked like it on the back end though. But the front end was shaped really weird. And I was like, what the fuck is that?
You know, cars.
They've come out with some weird ones lately.
Cars are like bicycles where you can only change it so much.
Right.
So when they change a certain design, you notice it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Porsche bought by someone else a few years ago?
Nope. Porsche's Porsche.
I know of.
Okay.
It was Harley was bought out years ago. That's kind of like
by who?
It was the Los Angeles Kings won finally. That's
Harley was bought by AMF back in the
Purple.
70s, and it did not go well. And AMF sold it off to Harley once again became an independent company.
I have to look it up. It was and Jenny, don't stone me to death for this one. I think it's a Japanese company who bought them out. And the only reason I know that is because I know people who ride Harleys, and they always say like after a certain year they don't buy them. But and I'm gonna say something as someone who grew up around Harleys, I would totally rock an electric Harley.
They've got one.
No, they do. I've seen them. I wouldn't shake my finger at it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, those are stupid." Like, I might have a full midlife crisis and get one. I don't know.
Yeah, what are they? $100,000?
No, they're lowering the price because here in California they're really trying to push electric vehicles.
Oh,
You
so
can get a
Kinda lower the
you can get
prices.
a Nissan Leaf for, I think they start around 23,000, something like that.
You can get
In
little,
electric.
yeah,
the BMW
yeah. You can
bikes
get
are
little
popular.
electric like dirt bikes crossover. You know, they're road bikes too, but they look like little dirt bikes, and you can get those. They're so fucking cheap. It's
That's like
ridiculous how cheap they are because they're like not the full size. They look kind of like the crotch rockets, but not full size. They're shorter.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny you would say that because everyone has a BMW motorcycle here.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, they must be really cheap, and they are. They're the same ones the cops have though. And I want to give a public service announcement. I'm not anti law enforcement necessarily. I'm just anti authority. If you dress like a cop, you better be a cop. So if you get a cop motorcycle, I think that's kind of lame if you're not a cop. I'm just saying. Because when you come behind me, all of a sudden I start driving at 10 and 2.
Well, there,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are
And 2 under the speed limit, fucker.
Exactly.
You make me slow down for.
Then they pass you.
Put
and
a
you're like, "Oh,
license
crap."
plates on it says not a cop.
Exactly.
But you
Something,
should be
help
at
me
10
out.
and 2 all the time.
Oh, fuck that.
there
That's
are
our
electric
bandits.
cars that you can buy for under $3,000. Unfortunately, getting them fixed up so that they're street legal in the U.S. is another matter. But they're very popular in Asia.
You know, I've always wanted a rickshaw like they have in India, but I wonder what the paperwork would be like to get one of those here. And I don't even care if it's street legal. I would just tool around my neighborhood, you know.
Well,
But
the one I was thinking of was actually a small pickup truck, and I saw a guy did a video on it. That he said the purchase price actually was only about $2,000, and it was $3,000 because of all the import paperwork.
okay, that's not bad if you really think about it, because it takes a lot of money to ship overseas.
Do yourself a favor, though. Do not buy any of these Chinese scooters and moped type vehicles. They will eat you alive, and they're just crap. They're designed to last
trash.
about a year.
They're trash. If I'm gonna buy anything like that's got 2-ish wheels, I'll buy a damn trike.
There's
A trike or something like a Can-Am or something like that. I don't have to worry about holding it up when I'm old, because if I'm gonna invest in a motorcycle, I'm gonna drive it for fucking 30 years. So
Thank you, Kilroy.
Yep.
They also had an association for quite a while with Porsche, where they were designing motorcycles. The Porsche design team came over and worked with the Harley guys, and they designed a few cycles.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As
Okay.
far as brands being
cool.
bought and sold, the Jeep brand has survived the bankruptcy of 3 parent companies.
Say that again. I'm
there
sorry.
you go.
The Jeep brand has been
Oh.
owned by 3 different companies that went bankrupt while they were producing them.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeep also sells survival gear. Jeep sells knives. They sell like cases. Jeep sells all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's a
I
Jeep
actually-
thing.
I have a Jeep. I actually have. I
They're
think I
made out
might
of
have a Jeep
cheese.
knife in here, but I'm not going to flash on camera. But Jeep sells all kinds of crazy stuff. Which you think about it, it's kind of the lifestyle of the people that
Yeah.
people portray of that vehicle.
Well, car
Right.
companies do that a lot. Like I have the bicycle I bought used last year is a Cadillac brand bicycle, and it's I researched it, and it's actually just made by some bicycle company out in New Jersey, and they just design and assemble it under the Cadillac name.
Yeah.
But Cadillac has nothing to do with it.
Well, that's like, anything you buy at Sears under the Craftsman or the Kenmore brands is just something that they contracted an established company to produce them and slap their labels on it.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen this insane stunt that the Red Bull people have cooked up this time?
No.
They're
No idea.
the ones who engineered the stunt where the guy jumped without a parachute and survived, and that 30,000 foot or 40,000 feet, whatever it was, parachute jump. Well, this time they're going to take 2 guys in identical planes. They look like your basic Cessna type shaped plane, and they're going to jump. They're going to jump out of the planes and nosedive the planes, and swap. That driver A will be in plane B, and driver B will be in plane A, and they're going to do that in midair.
I want to see that. You know what? Red Bull doesn't disappoint. They have the Flutog here every year, so I'm down. I'm down to see that.
Yeah, they do some really nuts stuff. I get a kick out of them.
Every year, Red Bull still puts on the competition where idiots launch themselves into the pier. Every year. It's something to see. Isaiah has seen it at least 3 or 4 times in his lifetime of people just biffing in the ocean. I'm absolutely just biting it with homemade cardboard wings.
Yeah. Yes, Kilroy, Sears is basically no more, and I definitely stopped buying Craftsman tools entirely when I started having them at Kmart.
Well, that's silly. That's who's marketing them. You can buy Craftsman tools at Ace Hardware stores. You can buy them at some of the big box home improvement stores. They knew they were going down. Sears was going down, and so they broke off the Craftsman name because it was successful.
Yes,
and they're just marketed by other people now.
Craftsman, it's well made. This thing's beautiful.
Okay, the Craftsman tools that they sell today, though, are not made nearly as well as the ones they sold in the 80s.
Well, I disagree. I've bought many of those tools and from Ace Hardware and stuff, and I find them to be perfectly excellent.
I have I guess I'm not a tool snob. I'll use something from the 99-cent store if it works. I don't care. Like my new favorite pair of gloves are from the 99-cent store.
It depends on the job. You know, I buy tools from the Dollar Tree, and for some things, they're fine. For something where I need to actually put a decent amount of torque on something, that's when I want to
cannot equivocate.
That's not going to break.
You cannot equivocate a tool from the dollar store with a Craftsman.
No, and that's why I'm saying, they're for entirely different purposes.
I still like my Snap-ons. My Snap-ons are my favorites, but they're overpriced. They're overpriced, and the quality of what they do is not so far from any of the other brands that one would have to be exclusive Snap-on.
Yeah.
Right.
Mac tools are great. Husky tools, which come out of who is that? Is that Lowe's?
Yep.
It sells Huskies. Those are very decent tools, and their toolbox
I like them.
Very stable.
Yeah,
Here's
me
my
too,
other tool
Major.
bag. Here's
Word.
my Husky bag. Husky
There you
is
go.
awesome too.
Yeah.
As far as hand tools goes, Harbor Freight has also reprogrammed they're rebranding themselves, and they're bringing in different lines of
nicer
tools, and they're starting to have some fairly decent quality hand tools, in the ratchets and socket departments, and their toolboxes have gone way up in quality, and are still way cheap compared to the big boys.
Is it Dremel
Internet? You can definitely get better quality stuff than you could 10 years ago there.
Is it Dremel like exclusive to Lowe's, or can I get a Dremel at Home Depot?
You should be able to get Dremel anywhere who's chosen to sell them. They're an independent company out of Milwaukee.
Yeah, Dremel's not contracted with anybody that I know.
That's what I figured. It's just because I have all the stupid attachments, and they're from like Blue Hawk, the really cheap ones, all the way up to actual Dremel replacements.
You know what?
And
hey,
here
Will,
you got,
go
and here
online.
you got.
We used to sell it.
Snap-on, Dremel, Milwaukee, and Delta are all major tool companies. They all came out of the Milwaukee area.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, I just wanted to make a comment on Major's thing here about Sears having toy departments, because
used to.
Yeah, it actually in the early 60s, a lot of Legos were sold under the Samsonite brand, and they were exclusive to Sears stores.
Really?
Wow.
Amazing. I had no clue.
For about 5 years in the early 60s, there were a lot of them that you could only buy at Sears.
A lot of what was it?
Lego.
Oh, Lego. Really?
Yeah. because
You know,
it was sold under the Samsonite brand, the same company that does the Samsonite luggage.
Oh
Was
yeah.
originally the American distributor for Lego.
Oh
when
okay. I didn't
when
know
my
that.
grandmother passed away, I took basically all the stuff from her house and I put it in my storage. And you know, over the years I've slowly been going through it. When I found one of my grandmother's sewing machines, I was like, "Oh wow." I'd never heard of the brand. I was like, "Oh, this is so rare." My grandpa would just buy top of the line Sears. Every time I look something up, it's like Sears or Mervyn's or J.C. Penney's or
My mom and dad did that too. My mom's sewing machine was from the 50s. It was a Kenmore. Her washer dryer was a Kenmore. The refrigerator was a Kenmore,
Yep.
and they were all really good quality. And lasted. The refrigerator lasted 25 years, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah, they were great back then. They made great appliance. I mean, all the appliances were amazing back then. Seriously.
Well, and way back in the day, like again, 60s, early 70s, a lot of people got everything from Sears because they were everywhere. They had their catalog stores in every small town. Where my grandma lived, the Sears store was just a service counter, and they had a back room, a storage room there. So you ordered the stuff from the catalog, and you went back 2 weeks later and picked it up.
Absolutely. I always thought there was so much fancy stuff in my grandma's house, and she just took really good care of it. It's what it was. Because a lot, and they did travel around the world. There was some stuff that was like, that's unreplaceable, but most of it was from Sears.
That's funny.
Every time I look something up, I'm like, is this for real or is this from Sears? It's great.
Roll the dice, man. Roll the dice. That's funny. Yeah, but but back then, Will, it was like, look, we have money. We bought all of our stuff from Sears. You know what I mean? Or
totally.
All of my wife's appliances and furniture are from JCPenney. Like that was stature back then. You had you weren't the richest, but you were getting there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nowadays, I could give an F what the Joneses are doing.
Right. But back then, it was like serious.
Oh yeah.
People literally tried to keep up with the Joneses, which is funny because when I was a kid, I was friends with this girl whose family's last name was Jones. So we'd make jokes all the time. Yep, Mom, trying to keep up with the Joneses. And Anna would look at me and like smack my arm. And I'm like, sorry, I can't. I just can't help it. I have to. It's funny.
What I used to hate about
through life by taking the stuff the Joneses tossed out when they upgraded.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Jenny?
What I hated about Sears was that's where my mom always took us for our clothes, and so I just resented Sears because I resented the clothes I had to wear.
You know what's
yes.
My mom would take, and you know what? I don't care. Come at me. My mom would take us to this place called the J.C.Penney Outlet. It was
sure.
It was like the stuff from last year.
Yeah.
And my mom would be like, "Look, go crazy because this stuff is all on sale." And we learned at a young age, like, okay, let's make it work. So,
right.
Once a year, we would go to the JCPenney outlet and get 6 or 7 outfits because it was affordable. Because my mom had an army of kids,
Yeah.
So I don't wag my finger at that stuff. I did hate Sears.
Kilroy, I subscribe to this philosophy for a lot of things. When I was learning new stuff, you buy the cheap tools while you're learning, and once you develop the skill, then you get the good tools.
Yeah. Don't spend the money on the tools, especially if you're starting a new hobby. I've learned that. I've done it, and I've ended up will somebody buy this? Yeah, for $50. I paid $250. That's what you're going to get for
Kilroy,
it.
what do you do that you need those kinds of tools?
I have a $300 Nerf gun that my son just uses as a paperweight.
Oh my God, bro.
That I paid for, years ago when he was all into nerfing. My ex-wife and I, we recently had that conversation because she bought one and I bought one, and we're like, all right, we'll go out and shoot each other with it because these things are just going to waste,
Right.
And Mark, the air die grinders are nice if you've got a steady air supply for it. But, for a lot of stuff, the Dremel tool is just nicer because you don't have to lug the air compressor around.
The one drawback on a Dremel is that because they are a small electric unit, they do not have the torque of an air tool, and you can jam the blade so easy on those
Yeah, no.
Dremels.
Yeah, they
they're
don't
for
have
fine
torque
work,
at all. They're
not
just
heavy.
high speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're for
Dremel always
fine
built
work,
a
not
real
heavy
nice
duty.
jigsaw scroll saw.
Yep.
I use Dremel for crazy stuff like woodworking, for like making faces and totem poles and stuff. It's for more detailed stuff.
Nice. Yeah. That's
But Jenny's
perfect.
definitely
Yeah, it's
right
not
that-
meant for heavy duty trying to like. No, that's
Yeah.
Dremels aren't made for that.
I made a video
Yeah,
about
Dremel tools, the blade will stop if it gets pinched in the cut.
Yeah, that's fine. Like wood art stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
where
know?
do you know what I have?
Sometimes metal.
Which is awesome is I have the Dremel blade cutter. I'll go get it. That thing will cut through anything, and I'll challenge you. It'll let me see if I can find
Well,
it.
you know, a
somewhere.
Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel is one of the best things for cutting metal.
I just have an angle grinder. I use that. I've used that. Oh my god, I use it for so much stuff when I build out my little rat rod truck.
Well, yeah, but if you got spaces you can't get the angle grinder into, you know, the Dremel tool can do a surprising amount for its size.
Oh well, yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, they have bigger, heavier duty versions of, like Dremel's getting more like, like they're getting tougher and they're getting bigger.
One of the neat things I like about Dremels is they make also these various contraptions that you take your Dremel tool and you put it in this, and now it's a drill press.
Okay.
Now it's
Nice.
a miniature table saw. And
nice.
These kinds of things. They're pretty
That's
cool.
great.
And
got a setup
amazingly
like that
cheap.
to use the Dremel tool as a trim router.
4 air compressors. Oh, Mark, I love you. I'm gonna come move in.
I have, I had 2, but I gave one away, but I have 1 right now. My brother has 2.
I still have one in
Kilroy,
the
sounds
box.
like you're in the same business that I was in. I just retired with COVID, but yeah, I was doing all sorts of home repair projects that other people couldn't figure out how to do.
All right, so this will cut through anything without a compressor.
Oh yeah.
I love this stinking thing. I use it for
yeah.
everything.
Dude, I wanted to buy one of those. The Sawmax.
I use this
I was eyeballing one, but then I just lost my job.
I've seen those used on eBay and getting huge money for them.
I use
those
these
things are
for-
great, man. They're mini saws. They're mini
I use
skill
that for
saws.
everything. I use it for everything. I swear, I could do a Dremel commercial. I use it for everything.
Oh yeah, I had one of those. I left it with my brother.
And I have
But
the.
we used it for all kinds of stuff when we were refurbishing the house trailer.
I have the weird extender arm for really detailed work where you can just plug in the Dremel.
Yep.
And let it rip.
Yep. The
and
flexible shaft.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the Dremel tool. But yeah, Dremel's awesome.
There you go. Yep. Dude, I almost bought that. I'm glad I didn't now though, because I need the money till I get another job. Because I'm being picky as fuck this time.
If you had one, no door will be locked.
Right?
No, there's no lock that you could walk through.
What did you say? A lock? What is a lock?
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, that's a real problem these days. Because with cordless tools, if I've got my cordless angle grinder, I can go through just about any lock in less than a minute.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's why I can't keep that stuff. I can't keep any of the stuff in my truck. It'll be a tweaker Christmas if someone stole my truck.
Right.
So
a tweaker Christmas.
So I have certain tool pouches I carry with me and certain tools. So I just I've busted myself down to 7 boxes.
Well,
that's hard to do, man.
It is.
Remember those
I used to have my entire back of my
for
truck
cars,
full of
the
tools.
club, that basically it was just a big bar that you're supposed to put on the steering wheel.
I use
You know why you don't see those anymore?
Because all you got to
people
do is
figured
cut the
out an easy
steering
way
wheel.
to get around them. Don't bother cutting the club. Just cut a notch out of the steering wheel and pass the thing through it.
So real life, I
Don't
had
try
the-
to cut the reinforced metal. Just cut the plastic shit that it's sitting on.
That's hilarious. Why did no one think of that?
I had the club until I saw someone bust through it on YouTube. And like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, get out of here. I got rid of all. I had like 2 or 3 of them.
You're like, nope, trash.
Well, what's the point? Someone's going to
Right?
walk right through it. It's just with
Slows them down a little bit, maybe. Maybe
I'm
not
gonna
enough to
say-
get caught, but that's all
Well,
they do.
that's all locks do is slow somebody on, slow people down. My grandpa said that locks are only to keep honest people honest.
In the modern era, cameras are really all you can do, and then hope that the cops have enough money to go pick the people up who stole your stuff.
Well, and that
Right.
is the biggest deterrent, is that with cameras, it's so much harder for anyone to do anything without somebody identifying them.
Oh, where I live, like, it's shocking when someone doesn't have a camera.
Well, and it's got even worse in that regard now, with social media, because that's like the January 6th insurrection. The FBI was just using the camera footage they had and running face recognition with Facebook. So, that's how they were finding all these guys' Facebook pages.
I'm sorry, but self-indictments are not gangster. If you tape your crime, you deserve to go to jail.
Yes.
If you are that dumb, I'm pre-internet. I'm like that generation, like 2 generations before the internet came around. So if you're that dumb to tape your crime, it's on you. That is on you.
Be right back.
Well, not only that, but you could be at this big, massive rally, and that turns into a riot, and you can say, "Oh, I wasn't there." If they have a photograph of you from that somebody else took, and it looks like you could still say, "Well, that's not me. That's somebody who looks like me." But what they do now is they use their GPS systems and various other tracking systems that your phone has, and they locate you and your phone at that time and prove that was you in that picture.
Okay,
here's your latitude and longitude.
It's funny you would say that, Jenny. I have 2 cell phones, okay? This one is the glitchy one. This one is the one that I got for free from the Apple store. I recently lost this. I have Find My Phone is not on. I do not have that option on. I found my phone within 30 seconds using this one.
Yeah,
So
Kilroy, you're exactly correct. And you don't even have to have your phone on or be using it for this to be effective. They can still locate you.
Your phone is constantly pinging against the cell phone tower that you're near.
What the precision of the location that they can do now is not just GPS. Everybody's router, I don't care who it is, it's got a specific number, and when you buy it and you use it at your house, that number gets known by your service providers, and in general on the internet, that number that identifies you is known. What the phones do now is they are always on a search in the Wi-Fi, and when they find the Wi-Fi, they talk with the Wi-Fi, and it identifies what number is out there, picking them up and able to communicate. And so now they have not just triangulation from the cell phones, but they could have triangulation, quadrangulation, octangulation, that they can have so many places to pick you out from and try and cross over and figure out where you are. That's why they can get it down to you, how many feet you were away from the guy next to you. It's amazing what they can do, and also scary because but look how it benefited us for the January 6th.
You know what? I kind of take it for granted we're always being spied on.
Yep.
That's why I have nothing but Apple technology in this room. I'm being spied on. I have the A word. She is always listening.
Well, I minimize it in my home. But yeah, these days you just have to assume anytime you're out in public, there's a camera on you.
Well, there's a camera on Will right now. That's the only thing we see.
And still, none of us are allowed to make fun of anyone's English ever. I can barely speak English, and it's my first language.
Still, forgive me. I was making up a word that I've never heard or even know it exists or not.
Hey, but before I go small, everyone, can you see how white? Look what life has done to me. This used to be beautiful black hairs, and look how white my beard is.
Well, you could Rudy Giuliani it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm a natural. No, it's all natural. I'm rocking the gray. I'm rocking the gray.
Yeah. Well, that's my problem, is that my beard had completely turned white by the time I started transitioning. And unfortunately, the laser hair removal relies on the hair being darker than the skin for it to work.
Well, so things this way, you're just going to transition from a guy to a little old lady.
Doc, are you gray at all?
Yeah, I got some gray, a little bit here and there, speckles.
It just means I have to go through the much more time-consuming and expensive electrolysis rather than the quicker, easier method, which incidentally costs about 15 times as much.
You're talking about electrolysis?
Yep.
Man, sometimes I'm like, I'm in the wrong field. I'm gonna buy a salon.
if somebody out there in chat has an extra $1,500 or so, donate it to Perp so they can get electrolysis done. That won't do it completely, but it'll get a good head start.
Yeah. Actually, the estimate I got for doing my whole face, just the face, no body hair, was that it was going to be about 100 hours at $70 an hour. So $7,000 just to get rid of my mustache and beard.
Yeah. Yeah, my final bill came out to over $25,000.
What?
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong business.
It's expensive being trans.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we get fired from our jobs and we can barely get any jobs, even at minimum wage. We're abused from every angle possible.
I'm not saying that's illegal in California, but that's illegal in California. Where I live, you can't do that at all.
Well, yeah, it's illegal pretty much anywhere in the country, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
No, I agree. It just makes me laugh because a place like my job, a transition is covered under insurance. And no one bats an eye. More people get the gastric bypass than anything else.
Well, honestly, I'm surprised how much of it the insurance is covering. That aside from the hair removal, it's covering just about everything else.
But I live in reality. I don't live in, and I'm not dogging the people of Florida. Some people I love are Floridians, but what's his face has lost his damn mind.
Yeah, Mark, you can still get the home electrolysis machines, and you can actually buy some that only cost about $50. The problem is, there are a lot of areas I can't do it on myself because you got to see what you're doing. So I can't do like under my chin because I can't be looking in the mirror and tilting my head up far enough to see it. So I've got to get somebody else to do it. And unfortunately, Sloth Girl has a very definite aversion to the idea of stabbing me in the face with a needle several hundred times.
I was just about to say Sloth Girl is there. It's raining.
Several thousand.
Yeah, especially when the precision required is literally the width of a human hair. That you've got to get that needle into the hair follicle. So if you're the width of the hair off, it's not going where it needs to go.
I'm sorry to bring this up, but it's raining in Southern California right now. I know it's nothing to the people here. Oh, where I'm from, it's a big deal. I'm surprised one of my neighbors aren't running around outside.
Well, when it rains in Southern California, it pours.
It never rains, and that now that's a song you don't want to get stuck in your head.
It's already there.
Well,
I'm looking on
I
my
have
camera.
to say though, I think that B had the right idea. I think it's time to wind this down so I can try and get some sleep. I didn't get much last night.
No,
I want to keep talking about your electrolysis. Just teasing.
Yeah, I wish I had somebody who would help me with it, but you know, I understand why Sloth Girl doesn't want to do it.
How much would it cost to get my my head? Can I get my head? Can I get that done on my head?
Oh yeah.
Where the hair
Yeah, but
never
I don't
grows
think
again?
you'd want to. That could be very, very, very painful.
I've been shaving my head almost half my life. My head is like leather. It's like a piece of my skin, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, for a rough guess, you know, you probably have to figure it's going to be in the range of somewhere between, you know, $50 and $100 per square inch.
Oh, I'm in the wrong.
Maybe you could check with people who do waxing. Maybe that would be more effective for a longer time in between having to do something about it.
When I see, the thing is, like with electrolysis, if it's torture, I could tell them to stop. With wax on my head, I'm screwed either way.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen, and the only reason I say that it's because I've seen, because of YouTube, I've seen people wax their head, and it doesn't end well.
Oh, okay.
Like because, like you said, our heads are sensitive. Like mine, I've had a head injury. Like I've been rocking a bald head for over 20 something years, you know.
Mark, that's called thermolysis, and that's what I had done.
Yeah, I've
yes. Look at that face. It used to have a full beard.
But I have a Friar Tuck going. Like if I grew my hair out, I'd look like a 1970s soul singer. I'd have this weird fro in the back and it's bald up front. I look like I'm in Earth, Wind, and Fire. I forgot his name. My mom is like, "That's cool." I'm like, "It is not the 70s."
Yeah, waxing the neck would hurt. Actually, you know, the tighter the skin is, the easier the waxing is. If the skin is loose and flexible, it's going to stretch a lot when you try to wax it, and it's going to hurt a lot more.
Under the nose is one of the most painful areas. One of the least painful areas is right at the very corner of the mouth. If you have to get up into the sideburn area, the closer you get to the ear, the more it hurts.
Yeah, I had tried waxing my mustache, and unfortunately, it always caused the problem that, you know, the skin was too sensitive. So if I waxed my mustache, it would give me, like, you know, a swollen lip for like 3 days, and by that time the hair would have grown back.
Yeah. I have no idea how painful it is to have on your body. I've never had any work on my body done anywhere. I was just real lucky after surgery, nothing grew back. Zero.
Okay. What's an EWF fro?
I don't know, but I'll do it just for you, Kilroy.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I look. Okay. Yeah. I look crazy. I have a. Where's my wallet? Like I look like a different person with hair. I look crazy. No, that's a terrible picture. That's a terrible.
Well,
my old ID is a terrible picture.
I had been hoping that the hormones would adjust and at least slow down the hair growth. So far, not a lot of success on that, but
I kept telling you, no, it's not going to. Please believe me. I've been through all this.
Okay, well, my doctor said that it could help.
Your doctor's full of shit. Most doctors have to be educated by their transgender clients because they're so badly educated on the science.
Oh, speaking of badly educated, I almost tried Nair, but because of YouTube, I get to watch other people's stupidity before I commit it myself. So
yeah,
don't
Nair
put
is an
Nair in.
acid that dissolves the hair. Unfortunately, it does nasty things to the skin in the process.
It's torture, and it's chemical burn and torture.
Yep. I've done it. Basically, any method you could try at home for removing hair, I have done at some point in the past. So
because I'm bald, like I'm bald, but it's like I'm bald all the way up to here, and then when I grew my hair out last time, I discovered I'm completely bald in my cowlick. So I have the full, like it's slowly growing to this giant friar tuck.
Yep.
I look like I'm an Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's sad.
What were you saying, Jenny?
I don't remember.
Sorry.
Just something about, that I've tried every kind of hair removal.
No.
Okay.
I just want to be bald for the rest of my life, like Telly Savalas.
Okay,
I'm turning into him anyways.
Let's wind this down then so I can try to get some sleep. So anyone have any final words?
Yes, Sunday night. Be sure to tune in to Godless Granny's lovely show. We're going to have the All Jen show. Jen with one N, Jen with two N's, Jen with Jennifer and Jenny are all going to be on the show at once. Talking about I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about, but it should be fun.
Okay, excellent. Do you have a time for that?
I believe that's going to be 7:00 Central Time.
Okay, yes.
And look for Godless Granny on the channel on YouTube.
Yeah, 7 Central is when Granny usually starts her things, so that makes sense. Okay. Doc, you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Any last words before we sign off?
Don't feed the bears. I don't know. I was just trying to come up with some practical advice.
That's actually great life advice.
Yep. Okay. Will?
I'm Godless Sewing from the Godless Sewing channel. Go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. And right now, I am, for the first time ever, I'm reupholstering my chair. And I'm doing it with upcycled denim. And, I hit my mic. I'm already halfway there. It's going to be amazing. So I'm making a video right now about it. It's actually a lot more work than I thought.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch all the videos on that because, like I said, I've been thinking of doing it with my recliner, too.
I'm just wrapping
I'll wait
it.
and see your experience first.
Well, instead of completely going along all the scenes, I'm just gonna wrap it. I've already done like a mock-up. It looks great, so it's an experience. And watch me learn what I'm doing because I'm trying to do it the right way. So come on down, Godless Sewing channel. It's gonna be an awesome video. It'll be out by Sunday-ish, Saturday maybe.
I figured I'm gonna do it the way I think it was Jenny was describing yesterday about just popping all the seams so I can use the original pieces as patterns.
It's not a bad idea. I have a mountain of denim and I was like, I need to do something with it instead of just have it laying around. So I've made 2 vests. I'm finally getting around to using all of it.
Fortunately, I'm very skilled with using a seam ripper without damaging the fabric.
That's a skill.
Yep, and that it's just something that always came easily for me from when I was a teenager.
Seam rippers are a cool tool.
They are.
Yep. Okay, well, with that then, we will see you all next week.
Goodbye, chat. Love you guys very much.
Rock out with your clock out.
I appreciate all of you coming, and I need to, again, thank my patron subscribers. Skits Crasher is my most recent subscriber. And Jyuni the Apostate, Ox and Robert X, the Lavender Lady, Greg Hartwick, and Dog. I appreciate you all, helping me keep things running and, helping me pay the internet bill. So, with that, we will bid you all a good night.